This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
Green and go after being held at the line for a while.
Who is going to be king of the late breakers?
Speed up their bremses.
Michael Speedle is throwing absolutely everything at this, including the kitchen sink. Disaster strikes.
Unglaublich.
Wow, qué pelea.
I'm loving this. Look at this. Absolutely brilliant stuff. This is Racing Unleashed. Hello everyone, a very good morning to you. Welcome once again to Racing Unleashed as we go beyond the pinnacle. What can we look forward to in our programme today? Well, it is the Racer League that will be competing. We're going to be going back to school with Yannick Pletcher. I promise you that will be fun. We also have some VIPs, some celebrities in our simulators from the world of cricket and also from the world of F1. And we reach the conclusion of the Rocket F4, a British competition in our simulators. Now, I'm not alone today. Absolutely delighted to welcome top racing driver, top sim driver, top man, Sebastian Vettel. You're going to join us on the air today. We're racing at Brands Hatch. This is going to be tough for our drivers, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Not after your introduction, also pressure on myself. No, great to be a part today of the Racer League races. And like you said, Brands Hatch, the British roller coaster. We have loads of narrow, steep corners, loads of up and downhill sectors. So the main part for the races today will be to not lose the car in all those blind spots.
So looking forward to working with Sebastian Vettel live on the air then as we bring you all the action from a fantastic circuit, the spiritual home, in my opinion, of motorsport in Great Britain. And let's find out a little bit more about Brands Hatch now with our influencer, Mr. JWW.
All right, welcome back and welcome to Brands Hatch in the UK. Now, this is actually going to be a crazy race because this stretch of tarmac is arguably the least conducive for a high downforce aero car at the top of their game in F1 cars. It's quite an old circuit in the UK. It's really tight. It's quite a short circuit, but in terms of its technical aspects, this is often referred to in the UK as a mini Nurburgring. The reason being it's incredibly undulating, it's tight, twisty, doesn't have the high speed runs like we do on the larger European circuits, but that's what's going to keep this particular race fresh. It's tight. It's going to be really interesting to see how these guys manage to overtake. Stay tuned. It's going to be a hell of a race.
Absolutely, it is going to be a hell of a race. So looking forward to it. The British roller coaster then, 3.9 kilometres await our drivers. Of course, 3 sessions to come during the course of today's programme. We have our gear up, which is effectively a free practice session for the drivers to go out and get their eye in and their shoes in and everything else in around this Brands Hatch circuit. Then the knockout qualifying, and of course we have someone coming back to us as well. So Alejandro Sanchez then, what a star, and he does make a return to Racing Unleashed, and as you can see, now part of Aston Martin F1 Esports. What a star that we found in Racing Unleashed, and he is back with us. Very much looking forward to seeing how he will perform on this track. So, as I was saying then, we have our gear up session, we have our knockout qualifying, which I love because that's like another race all over again when the drivers that are at the top of the championship start from the very back of the grid when it comes to qualifying, so they need to do overtaking. Make note of that one, Mr. M. Schmiedel, who tops our table at the moment. So lots to look forward to, and that's before we even get into the race, which is going to be frantic. There's no question about that. So lots to come during the course of our programme. And of course, yesterday we were racing with our Challenger League drivers. This is how they performed. So Stefan Julmi very nearly taking the lead at the start, but was just denied. And Yannick Pletcher, and then as you can see, all heck broke out behind the drivers. Thomas Herzog we ride on board with now. He was under pressure from David Seed, and David Seed then throwing it up the inside, a perfect move into Paddock Hill Bend. However, all of David Seed's good work would come to a wry because he picked up a penalty at the end of the race. Fabian Meyer then was spinning round like a top in a fairground, and Sinan de Murbas it was that was going to be victorious in the end, and you can see how delighted Sinan de Murbas was then, and he took the victory, and there you can see the podium ceremony, and Yannick on there for he took P2, and he was delighted with that. P3 in the end for Dario Arpa then making his debut, and there is confirmation of how the podium looked with Sinan de Murbas, Yannick Schmidt and Dario Arpa, the 1, 2, 3. Confirmation of the result as you can see, and in the end David Seed, who picked up a penalty, banked P7 and still therefore leads that championship, and the rest of the order you can see there. It was a big grid of cars that took to the tarmac in Kent in the UK and delighted us with a fine race. Now, David Seed leading the Challenger League on 76 points ahead of Sinan de Murbas, who is on 68 points. And there you can see the rest of the order in terms of the ranking, which is utterly critical because there is so much money up for grabs in Racing Unleashed for 2022. A lot is new in 2022, and the prize fund across the Racer League and also the Challenger League surpasses some 200,000 Swiss francs. So a huge prize pot up for grabs for all of our drivers, and a real incentive for them to do everything they can out there on track. And of course, all of them aiming for a fine career in motorsport. We really do have some super young talents. Here is confirmation of the prize money. And today, look at this. $3.5 grand in your hand if you take P1 in the Racer League today. And if you took P1 across the entire season, there you can see the prize pot is some 15 grand. But all the way down to P10, the Racer League drivers are banking big money, 200 Swiss francs, even for P10. So, as I said, lots of incentive for the drivers to do the very best that they can, not only in terms of highlighting their profile as racing stars, but also backing some big money as well. So there we are. That's the way it looks then, and my TV director talking to me in my ears and for some reason broke up then, which is really unfortunate, but we've seen the highlights of our Challenger League, and now I can hear him nicely as we go back to school with one of our Challenger League drivers, Yannick Pletcher. Winner of last year's final, and thus also third overall in the championship, Coque Lopez. His studies are demanding this year, and he can only come along occasionally, just like the last race. But then, according to the motto, Veni Vidi Vici, nearly place 2. Same in the Challenger League, Yannick Pletcher.
Winnie Witty Witchy. Okay. Winnie Witty Witchy.
Latin at school doesn't seem to be his forte, but he came, saw and conquered. At least on the podium, third place. And immediately, get a taste of it, qualify straight away and drive the race of your life.
After 2 days, I know I'm third. I always ask my dad, did I drove third? I don't realize it, that I drove on the third place. It was so amazing. I didn't really expect that, and it's still amazing.
Green and go here at Mugello, and it's a decent start from Yannick Pletcher. A great start though from P4 on the grid, who looks like he's got away well just over the brow of the hill there. 4-3 abreast now, and Yannick Pletcher has a car up the inside, and that may lose in the lead. He hangs on to it though through turn 1.
He's realistic enough and knows it won't happen again anytime soon, but at least from 11th place into knockout and stable in the race to 12th place. Dario Arpa imitated him yesterday for the first time there, and he too finished third.
I'm pretty happy about the result in the end, and my pace as well. So
in the Racer League, Coque Lopez this year is a token driver and wants to save his 2 other possible assignments for later when his studies allow it. But 2,500 Swiss francs is a good side income, isn't it? to hear from those guys. And Yannick Pletcher, I have to say, he did make me laugh. It was fantastic. Vinny, Verdi, Vici, Verdi, Vinny. Well done to all of our drivers then, who featured in that little piece, if you will, with some Latin thrown in for good measure. We're getting ready then for the Gear Up, which allows our drivers free practice session to get their eye in here at the Brands Hatch circuit. Of course, all our lounges coming together for this fantastic competition in Racing Unleashed. It's the Racer League today, and Challenger League, of course, performed yesterday. It's the first of 2 visits that we have in the UK this year. We're here at Brands Hatch, and as I said in my introduction, I consider it to be the spiritual home of motorsport in the UK. Then we are off to Silverstone. So this is the way it looks at the moment. Mikael Smeedel then, what a job he is doing. 90 points P1 ahead of Angelo Michel and Javier Loro. Then it's Enrique Maranon and Christoph Holstein. Wojciech Polesny is a danger man as well. Dominic Dedic. Koke Lopez, who we heard from just a few moments ago, is P8 with Dave Ladamada P9 and Loris Mistretta P10. And that is just the top 10 drivers as we bring you the rest of them now. Alejandro Sanchez then P11. Then it's Jan Teufen, Florian Haase, Sebastian Hirsch, Ivan Kaufman, Mark Gassner, Kevin Abey, Fabio Vettiger, Roger Marte, who I was speaking to just a few moments ago, and Ralph Piringer, ahead of Devin Browner, Devin Iskro, Nico Farland, Besnik Motezi, Lars Baumella, Yannick Vonneberg and Tobias Schmidt. Absolutely fantastic. And here we go then as we get our first action on this brilliant circuit here at Brands Hatch. This is our Gear Up session, where all the drivers take to the track then to get themselves set up, ideally, and get the car set up nicely, of course, for the race to come, and also, critically, for the knockout qualifying to come as well. We're with Christoph Holstein at the moment. As you can see, Christoph Holstein making his way around this fantastic track through Druids, running downhill. This is Lorenzo Hayder. Now, Lorenzo Hayder is one of our Challenger League drivers who's used a token to be in the Racer League today. So fighting with the big boys and girls, if you will, is Lorenzo Hayder. And he's going to be one to watch, I think, really upping his game for this weekend. At the moment, sitting on a 1:22.702, as you can see. Some 6.5 seconds down on the fastest time that we've seen thus far in our Gear Up session, of which only 7.5 minutes remain. It goes by like that in an absolute flash, really it does. So Lorenzo Hayder we watch right now, of course using the full GP configuration of the Brands Hatch circuit, which in real deal life is not used that often, so it's great that we are able to explore the back end of the track, if you like, with those famous names like Hawthorne Hill and Westfield and Dingle Dell. Seems to cause some laughter among our production crew here. Stirling's Bend and of course Clearways and onto Clark Curve, which is the final turn, and then this cliff top, which is Paddock Hill Bend. As you can see, Alejandro Sanchez, it almost drags you into the gravel trap. And talking of gravel traps, it's worth mentioning here that at Brands Hatch it's very much an old school circuit with no acres of runoff area lined with tarmac. Oh no, it's either grass or gravel that you're going to find if you explore the track limits a little bit too far and go outside the white line. So Mikael Smeedel then is on there, and he, as you can see, we're running the clock on him now. Fabian Vettel, what are you expecting from the race today in Brands Hatch? Because this is going to be tricky for these drivers.
Yeah, exactly. We also saw yesterday in the Challenger races really chaotic race. Let's say the first 1 or 2 laps are really important for all of them. So also the knockout will be really important to be in the front, you know, to not be in that chaotic pack in the back. So top 10 will be really important in knockout.
Thank you, Fabian. You're absolutely right. You nailed it perfectly, because as we saw yesterday, the first drivers got away really nicely, and then all heck broke out behind them. This is Enrique Maranon, who's currently fastest. Then it's Alejandro Sanchez, Christoph Holstein, Angelo Michel, Wojciech Polesny. I said when we were looking at the rankings, he's one to keep an eye on. Mikael Smeedel is currently P6. He's holding his candle hidden at the moment, because I think there is more to come from Mikael Smeedel. We will see. But, of course, all of this and all of the times in this are completely academic, because this is merely the Gear Up free practice session. Doesn't count for anything other than the satisfaction and the confidence that it brings you. if you find yourself very, very quick out there. So Alejandro Sanchez now second fastest. Angelo Michel. Kevin Abey has moved up to P5. Kevin Abey, who we're watching on track now, doing a very good job in this gear up session. It's being led by Enrique Maranon. We go on board with Kevin Abey now. He's in our lounge in Zurich, and he's through the Graham Hill Bend now, using that little bit of runoff area as you have to when you drive the Brands Hatch circuit in whatever category of racing that you choose. So Maranon from Sanchez, from Mikel, and now Javier Loro goes to the top of our gear up session with a 1:02.348. 1:02.348 for Javier Loro. Enrique Maranon is a 100th behind him. That's how close it is. And we're following Alejandro Sanchez now. So back in the Racing Unleashed Racer League is Alejandro. And absolutely nailing this Formula Hybrid X Evo 2022 simulator around Clark Curve, heading towards breaking the timing beam as we pick up on Besnik Mertetsi. And Besnik Mertetsi then with a 1:02.348. And we follow him now. Whoa, really throwing it into Paddock Hill, up towards Druids now. Look at the concentration. Oh, having to use opposite lock to control the back end of the car, sliding around. Devin Iskro. More to come from Devin Iskro as Enrique Maranon now goes to the top of the table. So in the closing stages of this gear-up session, a lot of drivers beginning to show their real potential. The one for me, which is really, really surprising, is Michael Smeedel. Enrique Maranon using as much of the runoff area as he dared. He's in our lounge in Madrid as, whoa, good avoidance of a spinning car ahead of Enrique Maranon. Takes a look to see what on earth was going on there, just carrying too much speed through that turn. Here comes Alejandro Sanchez then, currently P4. Target time is a 1:02.341. This doesn't trouble it. He stays where he was. He's some 5.5 tenths down. But this is all completely academic. Michael Smeedel then, he's got traffic. And that might be why he's not giving us the lap times that we expect to see from this young man inside the simulator in Munich. So the Czech Republic driver up towards Druids now. Turns the car through Druids, heads down towards Graham Hill Bend. Javier Loro, steadfast in P2. Literally just a tenth or so behind Javier Loro, who we are on board with now. He also giving this simulator everything as we reach the 2-minute signal as a car goes spinning around. And Javier Loro is currently second fastest ahead of Wojciech Polesny. Now, forgive me, I did predict that Wojciech was going to be one to watch. And here he is. So, fellow countryman of Michael Smeedel from the Czech Republic. Whoa, whoa, whoa! He finds himself coming across a small chicane made of these cars. And he did a great job in avoiding all of those. He hardly lifted, truthfully. Great avoidance. And Dominic Dedic, who's had some success this year, it's not coming for him in this gear-up session at Brands Hatch, where he's currently P12. There is Dominic. Through Clark Curve and onto the start-finish straight, the Brabham Straight, and up towards Paddock Hill now with just over a minute remaining in this gear-up session. Oh, and as you can see, various drivers locking up, going through Druids. Not taking the optimum line there, and further one in the barriers as well. So the order is Maranon, Sanchez, Loro, Polesny, Haase, and now Angelo Michel goes third fastest. And as I say, the one that is the standout for me at the moment is P11, Michael Smeedel. Expected to see him much, much further up the order. Here's Mark Gassner through Clark Curve. So you do have to lift, but then it's full chat flat. Here's Angelo Michel then, who is currently sitting third fastest. There is Angelo, with his hair stood on end for this weekend. Lifts just a little bit. Fantastic to be on board with these drivers as Besnik Mertetsi continues on his way. Besnik Mertetsi, certainly further down the order than he would like to be, and he has provided some fantastic action for us during this session where the checkered flag is out. Besnik is driving in our lounge in calm. Could just almost feel the rumble strips through your television, couldn't you? Concentration is enormous. Really interesting gear up session there, our free practice session, with some drivers shining as we thought they would, and others with something of a dull sheen on their performance during that gear up session. We will see, of course, how it pays out and plays out, if you will, here in knockout qualifying, which of course is critical. The gear up session is but a free practice session, and therefore it's academic, the times that are set, other than the confidence it gives you as a driver, knowing what you've got underneath you in terms of that simulator and what you can do on this particular circuit. All our social media to the top right hand side of your screen. We would love you to be part of Racing Unleashed social media family, whichever way you choose. You can see all the logos to the top right hand side of your screen. Please be part of our family. We're delighted that you're with us today. It is a thrill for us as well to know that you're enjoying the entertainment and the racing action that these drivers bring to each and every one of our programs on Racing Unleashed. And as I mentioned, it's our first visit of 2 into the UK this year, because we're off to Silverstone next, with the Challenger League on the 30th of July and the Racer League on the 31st. Then it's to Spa-Francorchamps. Through the Ardennes Forest we will go 27th and 28th of August, ahead of the Circuit de Catalunya in Spain, in Barcelona 24th and 25th of September, Zurich Airport Circuit on the 22nd and 23rd of October, and then Imola in Italy on the 12th and 13th of November. And don't think that our season stops there, because we have this Battle for Glory event, non-championship event, on December the 11th, featuring both the Challenger League and the Racer League. And where is the Battle for Glory going to be contested? I wish I could tell you, because I don't know. It is a secret track, and it is being kept so secret that not even I have been able to wheedle the information out of the powers that be at Racing Unleashed, so I cannot tell you. That's the prize pot then, and as I said at the start of the program, over 200,000 Swiss francs up for grabs for our drivers across the Challenger League and the Racer League as well. 3.5 grand in your hand if you win today, and the Battle for Glory carries its own prize money pot as well. The Challenger League, it's a grand for winning that, and for the Racer League, 7,000 Swiss francs. I kid you not. It's something else that's new for 2022, the enhanced prize pot, and a big prize pot it is for all of our drivers that take part in Racing Unleashed, whether in the Challenger League or the Racer League. And of course we have introduced a new introductory league, a fun league as well, for you to come and have a go if you would like to, and we would love you to. So many young talents that are taking part in Racing Unleashed that we are absolutely thrilled about that. So our gear up session is done, our free practice session. We'll bring you the classification of that, if you will, in due course, because it's interesting to see who did what and where. And as I say, there are some drivers that I expected to be a little bit better performing than they did. Here is Brands Hatch then in all its glory. Let's bring you the information. It is known as the British roller coaster because it winds its way through the topography of the Kent countryside. 3.9 kilometres, 4 left-handers, 5 right-handers. 188-metre dash from the start to turn 1. 32 metres the height difference from the lowest to the highest point. And it is one of Britain's best loved circuits. No question about that. So let's take you on a ride around here now then. The start is crucial. You can see how the track is banked from right to left, and then it's only when you've been on a team moped like me and you've encountered Paddock Hill that you realise just what a cliff drop that is. And you run all the way up to the tightest corner on the track, Druids. It's like a hairpin. You're running uphill and then you go downhill. And it's your exit of Druids which will set you up perfectly for this turn. Graham Hill Bend. And Graham Hill Bend, there you can see it. And the left-hand Surtees, and you climb uphill and then through Hawthorne and into Hawthorne Hill, that is, into Hawthorne Bend, along the Derek Milner Straight in towards the Westfield Bend right now, which is kind of a double apex turn really, and then Dingle Dell, through Dingle Dell to Sheen Curve. And then, of course, you come across the Stirling's Bend. And from Stirling's Bend, blast all the way down to Clark Curve through Clearways. And at Clark Curve, again, you set yourself up really for a blast along the start-finish straight. Try and get that inside line so you've got the inside going into Paddock Hill Bend. And there was one completed lap of the fantastic Brands Hatch circuit. Hope you enjoyed that. I did. I felt like I was on board one of our Formula Hybrid Evo X 2022 simulators. However, thus far, I have not been allowed to be in one of those. Now, I'm hearing that maybe, and talk about this in terms of bringing you value, that we might be bringing you the Gear Up session all over again. That would be interesting. Apparently it was the start of the knockout that we are going to see in just a few moments. I misunderstood the information that I was being given. So knockout qualifying to come. I love the knockout because it does exactly what it says on the tin. Basically, you line up in championship order. So if you're leading the championship, you start right at the back of the pack. And you get a number of guarded laps as the session gets underway. And once the guarded laps are completed, you then eliminate 2 drivers on every single lap of the knockout qualifying session. Let's go to Spain now. And on Movistar, #Famos, here is one Mr. Pedro de la Rosa in one of our simulators then. And it's brilliant that this fantastic TV program use our simulators so that top stars like Pedro de la Rosa can give us a track preview. Of course, we're previewing Baku in Azerbaijan, which is where we are, or where Formula One is this weekend. So this is Pedro de la Rosa then, using our simulator. And he isn't the only celebrity in one of our cars, because Uvre Singh, the cricketer, humanitarian and entrepreneur with a huge social media following, is also in one of our simulators as well. 14.1 million followers he has. That's increased significantly since he appeared in one of our sims, and look at his concentration. So both Pedro de la Rosa and Uvre Singh then using our simulators recently. Uvre really enjoyed himself, has to be said. 14.1 million followers, my goodness me. See the smiles, and you can also see that it wasn't all straightforward for him as he took to our simulator. And great to see that. Let's get into our knockout qualifying then. Now, Lorenzo Hayder using a token to be in the Racer League. He is a Challenger League driver, but elevated to the Racer League for this weekend. He's starting right at the front of the pack. Now, those drivers that are really successful in the championship at the moment, as I explained earlier on, they are at the back of the pack, and therefore the knockout qualifying session becomes a real race, because they need to do some overtaking to ensure the perfect starting position for the race to come a little bit later on. We're watching Fabio Fettiger then weaving from side to side, trying to really get some temperature into those tyres. This simulator really is fantastic, being led around by the safety car. The safety car will peel off, and then, as I say, the drivers have a number of guarded laps where they will not be eliminated. And then I think we've got an extra lap here at Brands Hatch because it's quite a short circuit, so an extra guarded lap before the elimination process starts. This is Wojciech Polesny then. He was quick during the Gear Up session. He is potentially going to be one to watch. Now, he's starting from P18, as you can see, by dint of where he's sitting in the championship at the moment. So those fastest drivers like Dominic Dedic and Polesny and Holstein, Maranon, Loro, Michel and Smeedel. And is Smeedel the one with the most work to do? And his pace during Gear Up really surprised me. I expected more from him. So it's Lorenzo Hayder and Yannick Vonenberg who are the first cars out there. And there you can see, stacking them all up. It's a huge grid of 22 cars as the safety car peels off. Now, in these guarded laps, overtaking is permitted, but no cars get eliminated. So, watch this man on your right-hand side of your screen, Mikael Smeedel, as he lines it up out of Clark Curve. And will do all he can to try and throw it up the inside of Pinnacle Bend. He wasn't quite close enough to Angelo Michel to be able to do that. They all head up towards Druids now. And Lorenzo Hayder leading the cars away. He's built a 3/10 gap over Yannick Pletcher already. So Smeedel just getting his self in order here. Fabio Vettiger has moved up a place, and Alejandro Sanchez also done the same, having got past Jan Teufen. So it's going to be a while before we start to see those drivers eliminated. And this train of cars, it is great to see here at Brands Hatch. Hayden now, well, he's got some brilliant tarmac ahead of him because he's built a second's margin, which is really, really good. Oh, and a driver off there to the right-hand side. You can see that, and I have a feeling that may have been Wojciech Polesny. Wojciech is not the only one, as Michael Smeedel just makes contact with Angelo Michel. I think it was Christoph Holstein that we saw going around as well. I'm watching the right-hand side of our screen at the moment. Lorenzo Hayder on the left-hand side, of course, sets the fastest lap because he's got the clear tarmac ahead of him. Michael Smeedel tries to sell a dummy to Angelo Michel up the outside, but it didn't work. So Smeedel is now P20. And Hayder, Vonenberg and Besnik Mertetzi ahead of Roger Mate. And we're still following Michael Smeedel on the right-hand side of your screen. To the left-hand side is Mark Gassner. And for some reason, Smeedel is just not showing his true form and talent today. So Mark Gassner we watch now, currently P6 ahead of Devin Iskro. Devin Iskro is racing in our lounge here in Kemptal. Loris Mistretta has moved up a place, and here is Devin Iskro. Fantastically talented young man and a really nice character as well, and he's throwing the car through Clark Curve. And now onto the start-finish straight. Here's Javier Loro, currently P16. And we're just a lap away from the eliminations to start. Here's Dominic Dedic throwing it up the inside. Send it, Dominic, and send it he did. And moves up to P17 ahead of Enrique Maranon. Good move from Dominic Dedic there. And here he is then. Dominic Dedic absolutely determined and really working hard in this knockout session. Sebastian Hirsch, we can see there, is currently running P9 behind Fabio Vettiger, and of course ahead of Alejandro Sanchez, the returning Alejandro Sanchez, using one of his tokens for this event here at Brands Hatch. So a three-way fight going on there. Here is Fabio Vettiger then ahead of Devin Iskro, using a bit of grass and a bit of curb. And Devin Iskro is really putting the pressure on here. And we are now at the conclusion of this lap. We're going to get into the first of the laps where we see drivers eliminated. Something has gone horribly wrong for Dominic Dedic because he's dropped to the back of the pack now and therefore is in danger of being eliminated at the end of this lap. Here's Fabio Vettiger. In fact, two of the names that would be that are potentially going to be eliminated at the end of this are Christoph Holstein and Dominic Dedic. Two drivers that we really did not expect to see eliminated so early on in our knockout qualifying. Here is Christoph Holstein. He's one of those drivers that I was talking about, and you can see absolutely out there on his own on track, and that's because of obviously something that went on earlier on. Michael Smeedel, he's still trying to make his way. He's got by Angelo Michel, and next in his target sights is Jan Teufen and Enrique Maranon, as Michael Smeedel needs to move up the order as Angelo Michel tries to come back at him here. So the determination and the speed from Michael Smeedel is back to where we expected it to be, if I'm honest with you. So it's Dominic Dedic and Christoph Holstein that we are going to lose at the conclusion of this lap. And then it will be Wojciech Polesny and Angelo Michel who will be under threat. So Michael Smeedel needs to be doing some overtaking here. Jan Teufen and Enrique Maranon, as I said, the next in his target sights. Here is Dominic Dedic then, and for Dominic Dedic and Christoph Holstein, their knockout qualifying is done and dusted. They take no more as Wojciech Polesny now sets the fastest lap, but it's all really kind of academic because he's so many seconds down on Angelo Michel that the opportunity and chance of him being able to get to Angelo Michel is really, really remote. Wojciech Polesny then, the Czech Republic driver who has podiumed in Racing Unleashed and is enormously talented. It's he and Angelo Michel that are under threat now from going out. Here is Angelo Michel then, and now he can see those cars in front, and what he's got to try and do, quite obviously, is get by them. And one going around, that has played nicely into his hands. So that means that now it's Loris Mistretta and Wojciech Polesny that are the two drivers in the drop zone. So that really was gifted to Angelo Michel then, who can now put the chase on to Michael Smeedel, who in turn is putting the chase on to Jan Teufen, but hasn't been able to find a way by yet. So Wojciech Polesny, Loris Mistretta, they are the two that we say cheerio to at the conclusion of that lap. And now it is, once again, it's Angelo Michel and Michael Smeedel. And now whether another driver has gone off there, indeed they have, it's Enrique Maranon. This is all being gifted to the likes of Angelo Michel. Here comes Michael Smeedel then. Knows that he needs to get past this car, and Michael Smeedel has lined it up absolutely perfectly here. And around the right-hander. And there's contact behind with Angelo Michel. And I think that was Enrique Maranon, and that will be a disaster for Angelo Michel. And it was actually Jan Teufen that he clattered with, not Enrique Maranon. So that means that Jan Teufen and Angelo Michel then are the two drivers that are likely as not to be dropped out of this session, or this lap. Their knockout will be done and dusted. Michael Smeedel gets to contest another lap. And now he's firing into Kevin Abey. Angelo Michel then crosses the timing line. It was gifted a couple of additional laps that probably he didn't expect, so he'll be relatively happy with that. Michael Smeedel, in the meantime, we know how he can overtake, and we've seen that to a degree in this knockout qualifying session. But he has got to find a way by Kevin Abey to be able to contest another lap. And Enrique Maranon and Michael Smeedel are the two drivers in the drop zone now. Here's Michael Smeedel then. And he, in my opinion, is too far back on Kevin Abey to really have the opportunity to get by him. As they run under the bridge now, the conclusion of the lap, I think it is going to be all over for Michael Smeedel, who, it has to be said, has never been a fan of this knockout qualifying, and it's one of the few things that he and I disagree on. Of course, I love the knockout qualifying, he less so. So Enrique Maranon, despite setting the fastest lap, will be out alongside Michael Smeedel. Their knockout qualifying is done. And next it will be Javier Loro and Kevin Abey. Now, Javier Loro, as you can see, is hounding David Ladamada ahead of him. Here is Javier Loro that we're on board with now. He's racing in our lounge in Madrid. And he's making his way around the right-hander now, out towards the back of the circuit. Here's Javier. Each and every lap comes and goes so quickly because it's such a short lap here at Brands Hatch. Alejandro Sanchez is up to P9. And here is Alejandro Sanchez, also in our Madrid lounge. And he rounds Clark Curve now and heads towards the timing line and completes another lap in our knockout qualifying. And we are down to just 14 drivers on track, and make that 12 drivers on track now as we lose Javier Loro and also Kevin Abey. Now, Florian Haase and I think it was Besnik Mertetzi went around, or perhaps it was Hirsch, but we saw that paddock hill bend, and it's Mertetzi and Hirsch that are in the drop zone now. Sebastian there you can see as we follow his car now, and here is Sebastian Hirsch as we split the screen and give you this fantastic opportunity to see the driver and what he's doing in the car, and also see what he's doing inside the simulator. These wonderful made in Italy Formula Hybrid X Evo 2022 cars. Lorenzo Hayder, well, he did all the hard work right at the start of this knockout qualifying and has since built a margin of 2.6 seconds. Here's Besnik Mertetzi then, racing in calm and being chased by Sebastian Hirsch. What Besnik Mertetzi needs to do, of course, is chase down and get by Florian Haase, but regrettably the chances of that are gone. And it is Mertetzi and Hirsch that we lose after that part of our knockout qualifying session. So it's David Ladamada who is next, along with Florian Haase. They are the next two drivers in the drop zone. And we're on board with Florian Haase now. Now, of course, if he could get by David Ladamada, that's all well and good. It would give him another place on the grid, but I think he's so far back on Alejandro Sanchez that he's not going to be able to stay out there for another lap unless some misfortune should befall the drivers ahead. Whoa! And that was a very sideways moment for Dave Ladamada, and Florian Haase, completely unsighted, could do nothing but T-bone the car. And that means that there is no question now that Florian Haase and Dave Ladamada will be out of this quali session. Their knockout is done. We're on board with Alejandro Sanchez now, making a welcome return to Racing Unleashed this weekend as he really closes under the auspices of Paddock Hill Bend on the car of Devin Iskro ahead. Devin Iskro racing in our lounge here in Kemptal, which is where our broadcast studio is set. And well, here we can see what it's like looking back from the Devin Iskro car at the hard-chasing Alejandro Sanchez. Now, Devin Iskro and Alejandro Sanchez are both in the drop zone now. Now, of course, if Sanchez could get by Devin, it would give him another place on the grid, but I think they're so far back of the cars in front that it's not going to give them another lap. So Devin Iskro making the car sit perfectly on the tarmac here at Brands Hatch, and commentators cursed just as I said that. He did some grass cutting for the caretakers and the groundsmen here at Brands Hatch as he clattered over the grass, but still he denies Alejandro Sanchez, who launches into the back of Devin Iskro, and Alejandro Sanchez takes P7 and Devin Iskro takes P8. I rather think that our race stewards may take a look at that little launch. I mean, it's academic in terms of how many laps they do, but it's not academic in terms of their grid position. So Devin Iskro and Alejandro Sanchez then having a little coming together through Clark Curve. Now it's Fabio Vettiger who is in the drop zone. And, well, they are falling quicker than swatted wasps, aren't they, in our knockout qualifying. And we are down to the final 6 cars. Lars Baumeiler, who is currently P5, and then Fabio Vettiger, who is P6. And, well, there you can see as Vettiger tried an unorthodox move through the grass to try and take it to Baumeiler, but it wasn't to be. This is Mark Gassner. Good performance from Mark Gassner in Munich in our knockout qualifying here. As he runs up towards Paddock Hill now, turns right, then feels his stomach lurch as he bottoms out through Paddock Hill. Through Druids now. And of course it is Mark Gassner and Roger Marte, who are the next two in the drop zone. It's good showing from Marte as well, doing a good job here at Brands Hatch. And if it all stays this way, we're looking at the second row of the grid with Gassner and Marte occupying positions 4 and 3, assuming nothing changes. And Gassner having to use a little bit of opposite lock to control the car then. Holds onto it nicely. And we are into the final 4 cars in our knockout qualifying session then. Roger Marte, to whom I was extolling virtues a few moments ago. Tell you what, he and Lorenzo Hayder having a fine time out there in knockout qualifying. And now Yannick Vonenberg has got by Roger Marte. So Marte and Gassner. It's going to be Lorenzo Hayder and Yannick Vonenberg then that will be contesting this potential pole position. But there kind of isn't a contest because Yannick is so far down on Lorenzo that Lorenzo surely is going to be banking pole position. You could see the car disappearing up the road. And here is Yannick Vonenberg. A P2 start, front row on the grid at Brands Hatch is no bad place to be. And Lorenzo Hayder, of course, is going to take that P1 place around. And there you can see Lorenzo Hayder. He always wears his emotions very loud and proud. And coming up from the Challenger League into the Racer League, he puts the car on pole position. He's congratulated by all around him. Now, Lorenzo's in our lounge in Zurich for this event. He has been here in Kemptal more than a few times. He's a great guy to talk to, and as you can just see how delighted he is at having taken that pole position. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Well done, Lorenzo Hayder. Many congratulations all round. So his brother Josh, of course, celebrating as well. And just a bead of sweat or two, I have to say, across the brow of Lorenzo Hayder. So brilliant stuff. And our knockout qualifying, which I love. I absolutely love it because it is full of drama and it is like watching another race all over again. And really, I can just see Roger Marte in our lounge in Kemptal walking past. It was a good performance from Roger as well in that qualifying. We'll bring you the full and confirmed classification. There indeed is Roger, just by my studio. He, David Ladamada, then good compatriots, absolute enemies, of course, on track, but off track, good buddies, and that's really nice to see. We will bring you the full classification, of course, but race control have to look at it and look at all the incidents. And the one I think that might be looked at was Alejandro Sanchez on Devin Iskro. That was extraordinary. We will see if anything comes of that. But that, of course, will set the grid for our race to come a little bit later. There you can see our race control, and there on the pit perch, as you can see. And everything is looked at, and they have access and so many camera angles that they can look at during the course of their analysis of everything that went on in that knockout qualifying session. It's really good that we have so many people that look at everything that went on and make sure that the fights are absolutely totally fair as well. And here is Lorenzo Hayder then in Zurich rather than here in Kemptal, which is a shame because I can't go and shake his hand, and I would like to do that. That was an absolutely stunning performance for pole position. Hopefully, Lorenzo, you can hear me, and you do look like you've really broken into a sweat driving around Brands Hatch there. And Lorenzo, many congratulations. Pole position, you must be thrilled. So Lorenzo not able to hear us quite yet. You can see the headphones being adjusted, and there he is. Lorenzo Hayder, you take an exhale of breath. You must be absolutely worn out. Challenger League to Racer League. You put it on pole position. Well done. And still, he can't hear me for whatever reason. So our technical team will be working on trying to sort that out as quickly as they possibly can. So Lorenzo Hayder then in Zurich, and we are here in Kemptal. And as you can see him indicating to his engineers there, he can't hear anything. So our top team get on it straight away, press a few buttons. And now, hopefully, Lorenzo Hayder, having given you such a big up and such an introduction, I hope you can hear me. Many congratulations from the Racer League to the Challenger League, P1, pole position. Lorenzo, you've done really well, friend. I give up. I give up. Whatever we throw at it, Lorenzo just doesn't want to talk to me. And I can understand that, but for whatever reason, it's just not happening. But we are really thrilled for Lorenzo Hayder making his pole position, his debut in the Racer League at Brands
P1,
Hatch.
mates. I'm really happy with this result. I didn't expect this result, so I'm speechless. Wow. What a race, because I'm sorry, what a qualifying. Yeah, I'm so happy.
Well, luckily we were able to hear from Lorenzo in the end then, and he's I can tell you, Lorenzo Hayder is not speechless normally, but he's clearly very, very happy with his P1 position. And there was a little Freudian slip from him, as he said, I was really happy with that race. Well, of course, it was only the knockout qualifying, so we'll see what he's able to do in the race. So best wishes for the race to come a little bit later on. Eventually, we were able to speak to Lorenzo Hayder. Fantastic. So, knockout qualifying done and dusted. I don't think there's any contention whatsoever that Lorenzo Hayder will be pole position, because he was involved with no other drivers. He just disappeared up the road in quali, in that knockout quali session, and therefore is not going to be troubled by any of the decisions that may be being made by race control as we speak. And as I said, race control have a lot of work to do, because of course they look at every incident and make sure that everything is fair and perfectly right, and of course guided by one Mr. Carl Wendlinger, top racing driver, who also supports our race steward panel and our race control as well. So you could see in the shot that we showed you earlier on that Carl Wendlinger was down there, and he looks at all the images as well. They have access to so much footage and so much data that they're able to make really informed decisions before we get to the grid for the race to come. At Brands Hatch, about 30-minute race duration at Brands Hatch, which will be a lot of laps because it is quite a short track, and they will be out there on Brands Hatch as we reach the halfway stage in our championship, if you will. Of course, do bear in mind there's that Battle of the Glory to come right at the end of the year in early December. But from a championship point of view, we're reaching halfway stage, because this is round 5 of 10. Visiting some absolutely and racing on some absolutely fantastic tracks during the course of the season, of course, with still many more highlights to come, including Silverstone after this weekend. So an altogether different UK circuit to Brands Hatch, which of course is very tight and very narrow and very undulating, whereas Silverstone wide open expanses and lots of tarmac runoff area, and of course a relatively flat track as well. Forgive the extraneous noise that's going on behind us as somebody clearly decides to adjust the building just as we are on the air. So as I was saying, there's a lot still to do, because we only reached the halfway stage of our competition, and a lot of racing still to come. And some of those tracks that we are going to be visiting include Spa-Francorchamps, as well as Barcelona, the Zurich Airport circuit, and of course we round out our championship season at Imola mid-November. That's when it all comes to a conclusion, and the prize pot of over 200,000 Swiss francs will have been distributed accordingly. 3 leagues this year as we introduce a Fun League to join the Challenger League and the Racer League. And the Fun League is very much a introductory opportunity for young talents to join us in Racing Unleashed, and hopefully elevate up to the Challenger League, and then from the Challenger League up to the Racer League. So lots new for 2022, including that enhanced prized fund, the car, livery, and the format as well. Right now, let's take a look at the last race, and the last race was on that Tuscan circuit in Mugello.
Green and go after being held at the line for a while, and it's a great start from Lopez in P1, who gets a mighty launch off the line, and they head down to turn 1. He's already on the defensive, going left and going right, and that is Michael Schmiedl in the middle of both P1 and 2, and makes his way into second place at turn 1. So a great start from your championship leader, who's trying to get through the pack and into the lead as quick as possible. As we go to Koke, Lopez and Schmiedl round the outside and into 2, takes the lead, and your championship leader is already in the lead come the start of lap 2, and now he can sail off into the sunset. Look at the concentration on his face, the dirty air from the car in front. Does he have a look? He goes to the outside. Is he going to make this one stick? This will be a brave move, and sensibly backs out of that one, tries to tuck underneath, and does he get a run out of the final corner? I think he does. Look at Loro here, he's trying to make a move on Mott and gets the job done on Roger Mott, and that is another place. But Loro to the outside, can he keep it round the outside? Really good driving from these two. 2 into 2, and Loro gets the place. Dedic did get past Maranon for a moment there. As we look to the left, there is Dominic Dedic in his battle. He's off. Oh, in a collision with another car. Mistake himself from Dominic Dedic. But here's Mott looking to defend from Gassner, and Gassner up the inside at turn 3. It's tooth and nail. Look at this. They touch a little bit there. Wheel to wheel action, and Mott trying to hold on from Gassner, who has to back out of it. And David Ladamada now is really in the party. He's here to play. He's lost it. He spins round into the wall. He's in the slipstream now. He's closer. He can see the car pulling in. It's getting closer. It's getting bigger. Is he going to pull to the right and have a look up the inside? Thinks of a send-it manoeuvre, does he? Up the inside he goes. And that is job done. Gassner now on the back of Mott. Once again, lap 11 of 21. Looking up the inside into 2. They rub wheels a little bit, giving each other so much respect. And did Gassner just close the door on Mott a little bit? And Mott taps him round. They both go into the gravel. And you have to say, Gassner looked like he shut the door there. Here, though, is Iskra with Polesny all over the back of him. It's round 2. It's another rematch of this epic battle that we saw on the last lap. And Polesny right round the outside tries to chop the nose of Devin Iskra off, but sticking his nose up the inside, keeping it there. Polesny right round the outside. Job done, and into the points for Wojciech Polesny. Enrique Maranon, he's going to be sent to the outside, but can Maranon go right around the outside? No, he can't. Iskra keeping it side by side. Maranon will have the inside corner for turn 2. Looks like he can get the job done, and contact made between the two of them, and round goes Enrique Maranon. But this man has had a dominant race, P3 to P1 in 2 laps, and what a job he has done to just pull away from the rest of the pack. Mikkel Schmiedel, take your hat off and give him a bow, a round of applause, because he wins yet again here at Racing Unleashed. Second place then for Koke Lopez, and Angelo Mikkel cross the line. Third place. And your final results then here at Mugello. Michael Schmiedel, Koke Lopez and Angelo Mikkel keep the top 3. Kevin Abai and Wojciech Polesny with penalties, dropping them down the order to 9th and 10th place. And the second half of the screen, a DNF for Ivan Kaufman, brake problems, Tobias Schmidt, Roger Mott, Fabio Vertinger, Devin Erskine and Mark Gassner with penalties as well. And that is your final classification. Mikkel Schmiedel then tops the rankings ahead of Angelo Mikkel and Javier Loro. Wojciech Polesny and Enrique Maranon dropping down the standings. And rounding out the bottom half of the table, you see there, still no points for Oppringer and Davina Braun.
So some of the action then from Mugello that you saw there. The action, of course, coming thick and fast today from Brands Hatch, and really enjoying that knockout qualifying session. That was something else, and just really kind of leans into my loving of it, because in my opinion it means that we get almost a 2-race event every single day that we're on the air with Racing Unleashed, because knockout qualifying almost becomes a race of its own. So we had that with the Challenger League yesterday, and of course it is the Racer League that are racing today on the 3.9 kilometre British roller coaster, which is Brands Hatch. So looking forward to the race to come a little bit later on, and that is going to be absolutely awesome. You feel sure, because there are drivers that are out of position, and in my opinion, Fabian Vettel, drivers out of position like Mikkel Schmiedel, who knows how to overtake. But overtaking is really difficult the narrower the track, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Especially in Brands Hatch, overtaking is nearly impossible. You have, like you said, narrow corners, you have blind corners, you're entering into corners. Already when you're driving alone, it's difficult. So in racing situations, when you're in a fight with other drivers, it's even harder to look into corners, to see what will happen in the exit of corners. So, of course, like you said, overtaking Brands Hatch, nearly impossible. Sometimes it's possible, but yeah, overall you need to wait for your competitor to make mistakes, and then you can try to overtake.
And of course the thing is, Fabian, if you've qualified so that you're in the middle of the pack, as it were, you run the risk of falling into something that happens all around you. Do you know what I mean? It's the likelihood of you being involved in something, potentially through no fault of your own, is much more likely, isn't it?
Yeah, So that's mainly the goal after knockout. You know, knockout is more important than maybe on other tracks, because you need to make sure to get the right position for your race. And then, like I said just before, on P10 maybe it's completely different than on P5. So we saw it yesterday in the Challenger race after turn 1. There was a big accident. So that's not what you as a driver like to see, or like driving into it. So yeah, that's the worst case, but let's see what will happen in the race.
Yeah, our fingers are crossed for clean and tidy. Thanks once again. Fabian is with us throughout our programme today to bring us his insight and his knowledge. Of course, top racing driver himself and top sim driver too is Fabian Vettel. Just delighted that he is with us across the programme. Let's take a look at the provisional result then of our knockout qualifying. And here it is. Bear in mind, this is provisional. So Lorenzo Hayder and Yannick Vonenberg then the front of the grid, row 1. Now, ignore the DNFs on the left-hand side of the screen, because, of course, they did finish, but it's because the drivers were knocked out on every single lap. Then it'll be Roger Marte and Mark Gassner. Lars Baumeiler and Fabio Vettiger then. They'll be on the 3rd row of the grid. Alejandro Sanchez and Devin Iskro will be on the 4th row. Then it'll be Florian Haase and David Ladamada. Provisionally, the first 5 rows of our grid, ahead of Besnik Mertetzi and Sebastian Hirsch. Then it will be Javier Loro and Kevin Abey. Mikael Smeedel, a long way back in the order, and Enrique Maranon, they're in P15 and 16 as it stands at the moment, ahead of Jan Teufel, Angelo Mikel, Wojciech Polesny, another driver out of position in my opinion, and Loris Mistretta, with Dominik Dedic and Christoph Holstein then bringing up the back of the pack when we go racing at Brands Hatch a little bit later on in our programme. And I reiterate, that is our provisional classification. It could change yet because race control, as I look down, they're working feverishly down there and looking at all the incidents that happened during that knockout qualifying, and it may be that some drivers pick up penalties and therefore will be moved in terms of their qualification positions and therefore their starting positions on the grid. Right now, then, I need to go and meet up with Ralf Muller from Fit and Fast and get my relaxation and physical exercise. Exercise is underway, and we're going to take a look at one of our previous races on Racing Unleashed as well. So here's Ralf Muller, and we'll see you back here for the race a little bit later.
Hi everybody, here are my fit and fast exercises for the upcoming challenges. Our core is part of any training program, especially when you are driving in a Racing Unleashed simulator. So Ben, we have the next exercise here, side planks. Lift it up. Actually you can straighten the arm up, but it's of course more difficult. Hold for at least 15 seconds. The other side now. Great Ben, fantastic. Get Tabea and Thomas now. So we do the same thing, lift it up, nicely concentrated. Okay, great. Here we are. Racing Unleashed. Get fit and fast with a gladiator.
This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
Red lights are off, away we go.
Da müssen die Positionen hergeben.
Wow, qué adelantamiento.
Speed auf der Bremse.
Here they go, flat out, really good stuff. Tremenda pelea. The two cars make contact.
Unglaublich.
Wow, qué pelea.
Was war das für ein Rennen?
This is Racing Unleashed. Racing Unleashed. Here we are in Kemptthal, and I've been given so much privileged access today here in Kemptthal. This is the drivers' preparation area before they go racing. Look at this assembled talent that we have. Well, Roger Marte is here. We also have Dave Ladamada, Devin Iskro, and Christoph Holstein as well. Now, they look really, really calm and just really anticipating the race ahead. I can tell you that the sofa that I am sat on is wobbling. Such is the nerves. Roger, I'm going to turn to you because you're closest to me. You did a good job in our knockout qualifying today. What's your anticipation for the race?
What was highest anticipation?
So the language barrier. You've got to be aiming for points, maybe even a podium, surely.
That's maybe not really realistic.
Realistic is a good word. Which
maybe with a bit luck, top 5.
Okay, can I just say that this program does carry a government health warning? The reason being, just look at these legs. I mean, if that is not an athlete, what is? Now, looking altogether different than he did on the sofa just a few moments ago is Christoph Holstein then, inside the simulator. And I was just telling you how good these simulators are. And that is just a good example of what it looks like. And this is the grid, and going from P21, Alejandro Sanchez, who's in Madrid. We will make our way through the grid, and we wish you the best of luck for the race to come. Yannick Vonenberg goes from P20. Alongside Yannick is Munich-based racer Mark Gassner. He is going from P19 on the grid. We will go all the way through the grid and give you everyone, of course, and stopping on our way through the grid to talk to various people as we do. But that is the P19 and P20 drivers, Mark Gassner and Yannick Vonenberg. Of course, the race today, Nurburgring, and we'll be racing on the GP configuration of the Nurburgring circuit. And both of those drivers, incidentally, are based in Munich. So to the next row of the grid that we will go to, where we will be seeing P17 and P18. So Javier Loro, the Tornado, and Kevin Abey, P17. Javier, then, Tornado is your name. You're going to have to be like a tornado, Javier, to overtake a lot of cars in front of you, friend.
Yeah, I will give my best, and I got nothing to do, so I will push as hard as I can, but with calm and be conscious of what the overtakes I'm going to do.
We wish you the best of luck. Javier Loro in Madrid, and alongside him is Kevin Abey. Then he's situated in Zurich as we move to the next row of the grid, where we find Angelo Michel going from P16. He's in Munich, and Jan Teufen, P15. He is going from our racing lounge in Zurich, in the Circle in Zurich. Now, Wojciech Polesny did such a good job in qualifying initially in that knockout qualifying, and then it all went south for him, and that means he's starting from P14, and Christoph Holstein will be going from P13. He is literally within a stone's throw from me here in Kemptal. Sebastian Hirsch, he goes from P12. David Ladamada goes from P11. Sebastian Hirsch, good afternoon to you. Racing at the Nurburgring. You're based at our racing lounge in Munich. What are your expectations for the race, Sebastian? I rather thought, the way he was nodding his head, that he wasn't really concentrating on listening to me. So never mind. We tried to speak to Sebastian Hirsch and give you your 5 minutes of fame, but it wasn't to be. So that is the sixth row of the grid then. Sebastian Hirsch and David Ladamada. So Sebastian clearly not tuned into what we're saying at the moment as we scroll through the grid. Devin Isgro and Roger Marte, two drivers that are here in Kemptal, both of whom we saw in preparations just a few moments ago when we introduced you to the program. They're great drivers, and both of them have real opportunities, and a podium must be in the target sights for both Devin Isgro and Roger Marte. They're going from P10 and P9 respectively. Ivan Kaufman and Ralf Piringer, well, they are going from P8 and P7. Ivan Kaufman in Calm, Ralf Piringer in Munich. Nico Farland, he did a brilliant job in the Red Bull Ring. What can he do from P6? And one man who really impressed me during the knockout qualifying is Michael Smeedel, and he's in Munich. Now, he's not a huge fan of the knockout qualifying, but Michael, you did a brilliant job today, friend.
Yeah, I just tried my best.
Always short of answers. Now listen, from P5 podium, surely, Michael, that's got to be your target.
I'm going for a win. I'm going to be super aggressive.
Well, You've heard it here first. Michael Smeedel then is going for the win from P5. Good luck to Michael and also to Nico Farland then. They are P5 and P6 going from the third row of our grid for today's race that comes to you from the GP circuit of the Nurburgring. And Florian Haase in Munich and also here in Kemptal is Fabio Vettiger. And a very good performance during the knockout qualifying for Fabio Vettiger. Surely just a couple of places you need to achieve, a couple of cars to overtake. I make it sound really easy, Fabio. It's not that easy, is it?
No, it's never easy, and I'm actually not looking forward. I think the guys in the front are too fast for me. Yeah, I have to look into my mirrors, I guess. I have Michael Smeedel behind me and some other quick guys, so yeah, I just try my best and try to not do any mistakes and then see where it leads me.
Fabio, you make a mention of the fact that you're going to have a number of drivers right behind you. Keeping out of trouble is also critical, isn't it? So you don't want to get involved in other people's incidents.
Yes, exactly. So if you spin around, you lose a lot of time. So yeah, just trying to do my race, as you said, stay out of trouble and then see where we end up.
Best of luck to you, Fabio Vettiger, and best of luck to you, Florian Haase, as well. They go from P3 and P4. Enrique Maranon in Madrid, he's going from P2. But the save of the day in qualifying knockout, and the pole position goes the way of Dominik Dedic, converting P1 in knockout to P1 in the race. Dominik, surely that's the target. Well, of course, that's what Dominik will be looking for. Let's take a look now, as we've been through the grid, some of the fast facts about the Nürburgring. So here we go then, the Green Hell Nürburgring. We use the 5.148 kilometer Grand Prix circuit, 7 left-handers, 10 right-handers, 590 meters from the start to finish line down to turn 1 with 20 laps, estimated lap time in the 1:31s. And here we can see the standings after Challenge 1. Tornado, Javier Loro P1, Angelo Miquel P2, and Mikel Smeedel P3. He's got to be on, and he's said he's going for the win today. He's laying the gauntlet down. Enrique Maranon, of course, wants to right the wrong of the DNF from last time around. And this is what the Nürburgring looks like then. As you go into turn 1, you've come all the way down from the start-finish. Now, with all those cars all funneling into the right-hander and going downhill, it's almost a hairpin. It's almost inevitable that there could be a crash right at the start. We continue our fast facts around the Nürburgring then as we head towards one of the more famous parts of the circuit, the Michael Schumacher S's. Please keep fighting, Michael, and best wishes to Mick Schumacher following that horrible crash in qualifying in Formula 1. Right, here you can see through the chicane, it is an overtake opportunity if you can get yourself on the inside into that chicane.
Yeah, I don't know, I got a bit too excited on the throttle. And but luckily I saved it. As you can see, like I had 3 tanks left, but yeah. All good. It's just about getting into that turn 1 first and leaving out of it first. So yeah, I'll do my best and I'll see what I can do.
And that was me talking to Dominik Dedic just after his qualifying in the Green Hell at the Nürburgring. Third time in the Racing Unleashed calendar, the first time named after the famous Nürburg Castle, of course. Welcome to the Nürburgring. So those are fast facts. Now we go fast with all the cars lined up on the grid. The lights have been put to the top of the screen for you. I am tempted to say hold on to everything, because running into turn number 1 always is exciting. We have 6 red lights. Oh, and maybe a jump start from 1 or 2 as the lights were extinguished. Here we go. Let's go racing down into turn number 1. Dominik Dedic, P1, already under pressure. Michael Smeedel has already said he's going to do everything he needs to do to put himself into that P1 position. David Ladamada has lost places, so has Haase, but Mikel Smeedel already up to P3. He's going to be very much a danger man. Devin Isgro has moved forward. Piringer and Mate have gone backwards. Here's Michael Smeedel then. absolutely determined to take the win here at the Nurburgring. Fabio Vettiger then is in P6. Ivan Kaufman and Nico Farland having a good battle as well. So lots going on in the early stages of this. We've not even done a third of the lap yet as the cars begin now with the first opportunity to kind of stretch their legs a little bit. Dominik Dedic built up something of 5/10 lead over Enrique Maranon right at the start of the race, and we're watching Fabio Vettiger then, who's got Ivan Kaufman behind him, David Ladamada ahead of him. And on board with Christoph Holstein, this is going to be a good move. A little bit of wheel barging going on here. But Christoph Holstein, as he avoids the cars that are spun around in front of him. Good avoidance from Christoph Holstein. He means business as well. Michael Schmiedl then continues. He's got Enrique Maranon well within his target sights. It's Enrique Maranon and Dominik Dedic, and Michael knows what he's got to do is maintain and keep as close to those cars as he possibly can. Wojciech Polesny, who had a disaster during qualifying, having done so well, is up into the points and in P10, and this is him in his simulator, pursuing the car ahead of him. He'll dive to the inside of the circuit now. Surely this is going to be a slam dunk for an overtake going into turn number 1. He scrubs the speed. That is Wojciech Polesny showing you exactly how it should be done in turn 1 at the Nurburgring. Brilliant overtake. He puts himself into P9. So Christoph Holstein, you may have seen his car in the pit lane. That was because he jumped the start. We could see a couple of cars that looked very, very lively and anticipating the lights, and they went for it. Enrique Maranon is continuing to go for it, but of course, he has got the presence of the Predator right behind him. That Predator being Michael Schmiedl, who is running in P3 at the moment. Angelo Michel then, and here is Roger Marte, him of the legs that we saw in our introduction to the program. In the points, in P10, he would like to be further up the order than that. Here's Michael Schmiedl then. He knows he's got the whole race to do this. A little bit of a mistake ahead of him, and that plays right into the hands of Michael Schmiedl. Just takes he's like a viper, isn't he? Just ready to pounce. And to be fair, he was given a great opportunity there, so it's up to P2 as Enrique Maranon made a small error. And that's precisely what the game plan from Michael Schmiedl is. It's to provoke drivers in front into making an error. They did, Enrique did, and Michael Schmiedl, as I say, like a viper, has gone through and has taken his prey, and he finds himself in P2. Dominik Dedic then sets the fastest lap, as you would expect, because of course he's got absolutely no traffic before him, as Wojciech Polesny puts in another supreme overtake here at the Nürburgring and puts himself up into P7. So the driver from the Czech Republic, who promised so much during the qualifying knockout phase and then spun on the exit of the chicane, and a mid-grid start where he was up to P3 in that qualifying, he now finds himself up to P7 as Roger Marte in P9. So Javier Loro and Christoph Holstein right at the back of the pack at the moment, and Christoph Holstein, of course, having been through the pit lane because of jumping the start and just trying to anticipate the lights, but he was a rather bit early on that. Angelo Michel, here he is, running in P13, so out of the points at the moment, but P13 suddenly becomes P12. He took his chance then, and he's through now into P12 as Devin Isgro made a small error on the exit of that turn, and well, Angelo Michel didn't need inviting twice. Here's Ivan Kaufman. Ivan Kaufman really pursuing the car ahead here, and look at the determination as they head and brake really hard into the chicane. Curb in, curb out. Very smooth, done nicely. Devin Isgro here in Chemtal then, running in P13. He's got Nico Farland behind him, and ahead of him is Alejandro Sanchez. Michael Schmiedl now puts in the fastest lap, so that you know just Dominik Dedic has merely 0.6 of margin between himself and the hard-charging Michael Schmiedl. Mark Gassner we can see on the right-hand side of the screen, Fabio Vettiger on the left-hand side of the screen as we split the screen with so much action going on. We are live from the Nürburgring. Delighted that you are with us. This is Racing Unleashed Championship race number 2. And Fabio Vettiger is in P5. And he's being pursued by Ivan Kaufman, but this is the pursuer par excellence. Michael Schmiedl really closing in on our race leader. And Smeedle is just so cool, calm, and calculating. And what he's doing, he'll push as hard as he can. He keeps showing his face, look, to the rear view mirrors of the car in front. And that is, he's just trying to get a momentary lapse of concentration from the driver ahead. Dominic Dedic, and Dominic Dedic, the moment he makes a mistake, Michael Smeedle is going to be through. Don't think he's quite close enough going into the chicane. There, did you see how he just put his car on the inside? Now, Dedic did not get a good exit out of the chicane. Smeedle could have an opportunity to go by Dedic around the final turn here. He will have set himself up perfectly. Now, this has got to be, you look at Dominic Dedic, he's hugging the inside of the circuit to prevent Michael Smeedle from coming by. Big defensive driving from Dominic Dedic. We're watching that battle for P1 on the right-hand side of your screen now. Whilst on the left, Wojciech Polesny continues his quest to go forward. So Michael Smeedle now, he knows that if he puts the pressure on Dominic Dedic, a little mistake may come. So it's a question of if, not when, Michael Smeedle, or rather when, not if, Michael Smeedle will go by Dominic Dedic. I have to say, with, where are we? We're on lap 5 of 20. He's got plenty of time. But there you see just how he darts out of the racing line. It's just to put his car in the rear-view mirrors of Dominic Dedic. Dominic Dedic, of course, he'll be focusing on what he's doing, but you've noticed now that the pressure has really been ramped up by Michael Smeedle, that the fastest laps have gone away. And the reason for that is he is driving with one eye on the forward trajectory and one eye on what on earth is going on behind him, because he knows that Michael Smeedle is going for it here. Let's watch him again. Now, if Dominic Dedic gets a less than perfect exit from the chicane, Smeedle could be through. Again, Smeedle just takes a look to the inside. This time, Dominic Dedic does it perfectly through the chicane and denies Michael Smeedle the opportunity. So it's about 3.5 tenths between the two of them. Will Michael have a go now going in towards turn number 1? Last time round, Dominic really hugged the inside line to prevent Michael Smeedle from going to the inside. He showed his face. He wasn't quite close enough. The back end of the Dominic Dedic car steps out just a little bit, scrubs off a little bit more speed than he would have liked. So through the arena section here, into the left-hander before the right-hander comes up, before you've even had time to blast the throttle. And through the right-hander, and now you can stretch your legs a little bit. You can see the speed building up to top gear, very nearly 260 kilometers per hour before you run downhill towards this hairpin. Back down to third gear, and you continue rolling downhill, heading towards that hairpin that I mentioned just a couple of moments ago. Very nearly 290 kilometers per hour before you get to it. And that's where Michael Smeedle is right now. The more these two fight, and the more Dominic Dedic is defending against Michael Smeedle, it's allowing Enrique Maranon to come back into this fight. So it could end up being a three-way fight for P1. And Smeedle will have to be defending himself as Roger Marte gets past Mark Gassner. And Roger Marte moves up to P9 on the right-hand side of your screen. So here comes Smeedle. He knows he's going to have to get the hurry up now because Enrique Maranon is going to be pushing him. You can see the cars are line astern now with hardly a gap between them. There, Smeedle takes a look at the outside, then the inside. What he's trying to do is unsettle Dominic Dedic on the run down towards turn number 1. Dedic dives to the inside to protect that inside line. Smeedle, though, does try, and this time he's got alongside him. And Smeedle has to lock up under braking, and Smeedle has done it. Or has he? Because Dedic is coming back here. Dedic is going to have the inside for the next. There's a little touch between the two of them. So Michael Smeedle, for the moment, is P1. Dominic Dedic has to settle for P2. So Michael Smeedle, he kind of rehearsed that move a couple of laps in succession, and finally he makes it work. Then through the arena section there was a little touch between the two of them. Now here is Enrique Maranon. He's in our lounge in Madrid, and well, he knows now that it's Dominic Dedic that he's got to try and get the better of rather than Michael Smeedle. Now my prediction is Smeedle will disappear up the road now and try and build a huge margin between himself and Dominic Dedic. Wojciech Polesny continuing his forward trajectory. Is up to P6 now and is really pulling in Vettiger now. So Wojciech Polesny with his eyes on the prize of P5 at the moment. Michael Smeedle got his eyes on the big prize of P1 because that's where he sits, and already he's built a 1 second margin between himself and Dominik Dedic and Enrique Maranon, with Haase, Vettiger, Polesny, Kaufman, Piringer, Marte and Gassner rounding out the top 10 in this race here at the Nurburgring. So Mark Gassner then in P10. Wojciech Polesny to the right-hand side of your screen, P6. Next in his target sights is Vettiger. Here is Alejandro Sanchez then, who's been relatively quiet, but let that really rather calm look. His steely determination as he goes down the outside of turn number 1, which is always brave, but I tell you what, this could be one of the overtakes of the day if Alejandro Sanchez manages to get himself in the points through that move through turn number 1. It was P11 for Alejandro Sanchez, but it's P10 now, or is it? Because Mark Gassner is fighting him for all he is worth. Brilliant driving from both of them, and of course Gassner is under pressure now from Angelo Michel as well. This is Javier Loro on the right hand side of your screen. He's running in P16 at the moment with the car of David Ladamada ahead of him. So there is Gassner, and Gassner under pressure from Angelo Michel. Angelo Michel then, if he can hang it all the way around the outside here, but just he's squeezed and he's not able to go by Mark Gassner. But again, it's a question of when, not if. I think that's going to happen, that overtake, because Angelo Michel just looks so quick. And again, to the inside in the S's here, but it didn't quite work for him. May I just make mention of the fact that in the space of the 2 laps that Smeedle got past Dominik Dedic, he has built a margin of nearly 3.5 seconds. Here's Angelo Michel then. We've been enjoying what he's doing in Munich. Now, the car in front was unsettled through the chicane. Does that give a little bit of opportunity to Angelo Michel then to try and get by the car of Gassner? Wojciech Polesny then harrying and worrying Vettiger ahead, and Polesny now to the outside in the arena, and it's not easy to make this outside work. Polesny is on to the runoff area, squeezed a bit there in fairness by Vettiger. Race control will probably take a look at that. I suspect it will be considered merely a racing incident, but Wojciech Polesny on the right hand side of your screen is really trying very hard here, and he was mighty impressive, in my opinion, during knockout qualifying until that mistake out of the chicane. His performance in the race so far has been equally awesome. So P6 for Wojciech Polesny, country man mate of Michael Smeedle, our race leader, who is 4 seconds up the road, both the drivers from the Czech Republic. So Angelo Michel is on the left-hand side of the screen that we're watching now as we split the screen, and here is the man that I was... Just look at the concentration and the focus on Wojciech Polesny then. And now he's on the back straight behind the paddock here at the Nurburgring, through the kink, which is turn number 12, towards the start of the chicane. Turn 13 is in, turn 14 is out, and then the final turn to come, which is turn number 15. Michael Smeedle sets the fastest lap, a 1:30.885, extending still further his gap at the front to now 4.5 seconds as we reach half distance, because we've started lap 10 out of 20. Christoph Holstein in P16, Mark Gassner is P13. Into turn number 1. That's how rapidly you come downhill, and then the right-hander where you pull, and the car is naturally pulled to the outside of the track because of the camber. And Wojciech Polesny then has lost a little bit of time, but he's still dropped a place, but he's still well within the points haul because he's P7, so he's just going to have to do some overtaking again. It's Ivan Kaufman that was able to take advantage of it. Here's Roger Marte then, P9, and he's being really pursued now by Alejandro Sanchez. We know how good Alejandro Sanchez is, and this is what it looks like inside the simulator in Madrid of Alejandro Sanchez. You can see the steely determination across the face of the young Spanish talent, as Devin Isgro is in the mix as well. It's P14 for Devin Isgro, but he's under strife from Javier Loro. Javier Loro having a go, and all the way around the outside, that's brilliant move, and Devin Isgro all of a sudden loses out to both Javier Loro and Christoph Holstein. So here is Devin Iskro. Maybe something just not he's absolute happy with. Roger Marte seems to be somewhat steadfast in P9 and has not failed to the pressure of the driver behind him. Christoph Holstein then, Kemptal based, with the 2 cars ahead of him. And here is Roger Marte then, continuing to defend against Alejandro Sanchez. So Roger Marte, P9 it is. Let's run down the top 10 for you whilst we have a moment. It's Smeedel, P1, then it's Dominik Dedic, Enrique Maranon, then it's Haase, Vettiger, Kaufman, Polesny, Piringer, Marte, and Sanchez as Christoph Holstein. P14 now as he goes past Yannick Vonenberg. So Christoph Holstein, another driver doing plenty of overtaking. Oh, just a little nerf on the side of Devin Iskro there, as Christoph Holstein is by Devin Iskro. Left-hand side of the screen is Ivan Kaufman. Right-hand side of the screen is Devin Iskro. It's P6 and P15 that we watch, and we focus fully on P6 right now with Ivan Kaufman, with Fabio Vettiger ahead and Wojciech Polesny right behind. And here comes Polesny just showing his face to the inside as they went towards the chicane, as Michael Smeedel sets in another and puts in another fastest lap, which means his margin must be up to 6 seconds, I would think, now between P1 and P2. There we go, not a bad guess, 6.4 seconds. David Ladamada, P14, big lockup from Devin Iskro going through the chicane. You just saw that. And here is Wojciech Polesny then. It's got to be one of the hardest working drivers on the grid today. The amount of overtaking is done across both the knockout qualifying and also in the race as well. It'll be interesting to get the stats on that. I reckon he is one of the hardest working drivers. Roger Marte has lost a couple of places as Angelo Michel and Alejandro Sanchez and also Mark Gassner have gone through now like a steam train, like a locomotive. They have made their way past Roger Marte, who is relegated to P12, and into the clutches potentially of Javier Loro, who is running in P13. David Ladamada sadly going backwards as well, as here is Alejandro Sanchez. Despite his best efforts, they did pay off after 2 or 3 laps of really trying very hard. And the next in the pursuit target of Alejandro Sanchez is lined up now as they begin climbing uphill. So Piringer has got to have his wits about him now, because the hard-charging Alejandro Sanchez is right on his gearbox and trying to convert P9 into P8. So you don't become champion in Racing Unleashed unless you are extremely talented, and there is no question about it that this young man is that. So dives to the inside now into the chicane, and that is exactly how you can make an overtake work there. Alejandro Sanchez, that was textbook. Through the chicane, puts himself up into P8. Great driving. Fabio Vettiger, Ivan Kaufman and Wojciech Polesny all together there, and Kaufman does go through, then he doesn't, because Vettiger fights back into the arena section, now runs wide, and that will play into the hands of Wojciech Polesny as well. And here is Christoph Holstein now, who sets the fastest lap. Alejandro Sanchez now in P8, so really ramping up his potential point score as we start lap 13 of 20 of this Racing Unleashed race here at the Nurburgring GP circuit. Ivan Kaufman then, who's been very busy in terms of being involved in the traffic. And Ivan Kaufman now running in P7, having seen Vettiger and Polesny. Wojciech Polesny now up to P6, having got by Ivan Kaufman. Alejandro Sanchez will be lining them up as well, but he's a little way down on Kaufman at the moment. Angelo Michel is running in P9 and Ralf Piringer in P10. To the back end of the pack, it's Teufen, but here is the Tornado, Javier Loro. Oh, just look at the simulator move under braking then, as Javier Loro really pressures the car ahead of him. He's based in Madrid, as you can see, and Javier Loro and Roger Marte having a real battle here for P12. So at the moment, Javier Loro, bear in mind going into this race, top of the points by dint of his win in Austria, is at the moment out of the points. So he needs to get by Roger Marte and then get by another couple of cars as well to at least put himself into a point-scoring position. Look how Roger Marte is defending the inside line as Wojciech Polesny all the way around the outside of Fabio Vettiger to take P5. Another brilliant overtake as Javier Loro also overtakes Roger Marte and finds himself now in P12. So 2 overtakes in succession there. It was like in wonderful, crystal clear, clutter-free stereo, wasn't it? We were able to bring you both the overtakes at the same time. That's how good the production team are here at Racing Unleashed, and a big thanks to the guys that worked so hard to bring us these fantastic pictures. Smeedel leading by 8 3/4 seconds. Here is Christoph Holstein. He's showing really good as well today. So Christoph Holstein in Kemptal, very nearly up to 280 kilometers per hour. Avoids clattering into the car ahead of him. Good, clean racing that we have seen from Racing Unleashed. Today here at the Nurburgring. It is the Racer League. We saw the Challenger League yesterday as Christoph Holstein goes for the overtake now on Roger Marte. He has to take to the runoff area, but that gives him the inside line for the next turn. So surely Christoph Holstein will have done enough here. But Roger Marte fights back. Through the kink they go. It's the run now towards the next turn. They are absolutely side by side. Big braking area. Now Holstein is going to be denied, or is he? No, he does go through. It was a stoic defence by Roger Marte, but firm, fair fight between the two of them, and Christoph Holstein reigns supreme in that battle against Roger Marte, and he goes through to pick up P13. Enrique Maranon in Madrid has been relatively quiet in that P3 position. Now, as you can see, our race leader, Michael Smeedel, is not even within the eyesight of Enrique Maranon or Dominic Dedic. Such has been his extraordinary prowess and progress. He's now within a few tenths, 11 seconds up the road. An extraordinary performance from Michael Smeedel, who today, as Mark Gassner takes avoiding action rather than running into the back of Ralph Peringa. Here is Enrique Maranon. Whatever he's been able to take to Dominic Dedic, it's not been enough. Dominic Dedic able to hold on to that P2 place. Mark Gassner, he wants to get himself into the points. What's denying him that? Well, the fact that he's in P11, and the man that is in the last points paying position, Ralph Peringa, is P10. So cars cross the line, put another lap in the book, and my goodness me, where has the race gone? We're already on lap 16 of 20. Alejandro Sanchez, it's P8 at the moment, but he has got both Fabio Vettiger and Ivan Kaufman within his sights. Wojciech Polesny then, a very good P5 at the moment for him. And then it's Haase and Maranon and Dedic, and of course our race leader, Michael Smeedel, who's almost in a different month. So quick. Alejandro Sanchez then in Madrid. If I'm honest with you, he doesn't look himself today. Just not quite got the spark that we expect to see from Alejandro. That will be like the perfect provocation for him from the broadcast commentator to push him still further. Mark Gassner with 2 completely different angles as we watch him now. Smeedel leading by 11.6 seconds, and Gassner now is pursuing Ralph Peringa because Gassner wants that last points paying position. And there's a queue of cars behind as well, including Javier Loro and Christoph Holstein. Christoph Holstein, of course, the last driver to have overtaken Roger Marte. I wonder if Devin Iskro is going to get on terms with him before the end of the race as well. And I say before the end of the race because we will be starting lap 17 of 20 very, very shortly. In fact, now, as Michael Smeedel crosses the timing line. And we check Wojciech Polesny as he goes through, as so does Alejandro Sanchez on Vettiger, and Alejandro Sanchez picks up that P7 place. So now, can he get on terms with Ivan Kaufman in the 4 laps remaining, or the 3 plus the remainder of this lap that remain? Here's Ralph Peringa, and Ralph Peringa and Mark Gassner. And it is P11 now for Ralph Peringa as Mark Gassner goes through to pick up that P10 place. But it's a drag race down in towards turn number 1. It's very busy behind them because you've got the Tornado, Javier Loro. You've also got Christoph Holstein in there as well. So it's a 4-way fight for the final points-paying position that's going on. And brilliant, brilliant racing that we are seeing between all these drivers. And Michael Smeedel is leading now by 12.5 seconds. Let's go live to the race control now.
This is race control. This is race control. 10 seconds from Mark Gassner because of leaving track and causing a collision. 10 seconds Sebastian Hirsch causing a crash in lap 1. Thank you.
Well, that changes the points-paying positions because Mark Gassner, having picked up a 10-second penalty, that takes him out of the points-paying positions. So Ralf Piringer is elevated to P10 effectively, and that's the 10-second time penalty will be awarded right at the end of the race. Brilliant to be able to bring you our race control team live into our program. We have 2 laps remaining. Michael Smeedel is on lap 18 of 20. And he's leading by very nearly 13 seconds over Dominic Dedic as Javier Loro is getting the hurry up here. He's in P13 at the moment, but it's a net P12 when you take into account the penalties that are going to be awarded at the end of the race. So that will make a difference. So Javier Loro, the Tornado, needs to tornado his way past a couple of cars here and try and bank as many points as he possibly can, or even get into the points, which currently he's not in that position because he's in a net P12. Smeedel, Dedic, Maranon, Palesny, Haase, Kaufman, Sanchez, Vettiger, Mikel and Gassner. But it will be Piringer that takes the final points-paying position once the 10-second penalty is awarded to Mark Gassner. So Javier Loro, Angelo Mikel on the right-hand side of your screen, and he's in P9 at the moment and still pursuing Fabio Vettiger. Alejandro Sanchez has made it up to P7. The next car is the Ivan Kaufman car. Can Alejandro Sanchez dispose of Kaufman before we get to the checkered flag? Let's go on board with him now. In Madrid, he takes to some of the AstroTurf to give himself as much track elevation as he can. And Alejandro Sanchez, now you may recall I said just a few moments ago he'd looked quiet by his standards and didn't seem quite to have the spark that we would expect from Alejandro Sanchez. That was just the motivation he needed because he's really got the hurry up now. However, we must make mention of the supreme performance from Michael Smeedel. 14 seconds up the road. Here's Enrique Maranon in Madrid, and he has driven a faultless race, but he has not been able to take anything to that Dominic Dedic car ahead of him. Christoph Holstein then P12, but it is a net P11. Fabio Vettiger in P9, you can see there. Angelo Mikel ahead and Alejandro Sanchez ahead of that. So this is Christoph Holstein into turn number 1. The downhill hairpin here at the Nurburgring. We're on the 5.148 kilometer GP configuration of the circuit. And Michael Smeedel now 14.7 seconds up the road. Holstein P11, but it is a points-paying position for Christoph Holstein because we heard from race control and Mark Gassner is going to get a 10-second time penalty, and that is going to push him way down the order, probably to P15. So Devin Isgro could be the last beneficiary of that time penalty. We've started lap 19 of 20, so the penultimate lap for Michael Smeedel then. And there's Enrique Maranon. Dominic Dedic and he have been absolutely matched for pace, but just a mistake from Dominic Dedic. Just as we were talking, Enrique Maranon does go through to pick up P2. So Dominic Dedic then relegated to P3. He made a mistake coming out of the chicane. Tell you what, Enrique Maranon, not only was he hugging that wall, he was almost repainting it, so close he was. Now Dominic Dedic, he sees a lock-up from Enrique Maranon. Can Dominic Dedic try and get this P2 place back again? He'd held on to it for so much of the race. We're on the final lap now as Ivan Kaufman and Alejandro Sanchez go fight to fight, and Alejandro Sanchez wins that little battle because he's now in P6. Ivan Kaufman relegated to P7. And it's Smeedel, Maranon, Dedic, the top 3. So Ivan Kaufman, here's Javier Loro, the Tornado, with Ralf Piringer ahead of him. It's P13 and net P12 for Javier Loro. On this final lap, 16.2 seconds is the margin that Michael Smeedel is currently showing us between P1 and P2. And may I remind you that P2 now is with Enrique Maranon. And Dominic Dedic relegated to P3 as Javier Lora tries everything he can, but this man has been outstanding as he heads towards the checkered flag. Michael Smeedel wins at the Nurburgring. You'd think he'd look a bit happier about it, wouldn't you? Enrique Maranon will bank P2. Then it's going to be P3 for Dominic Dedic. Javier Lora runs off the track. Alejandro Sanchez, P6 is probably the most that he's going to be able to take out of this race. There's Enrique Maranon. And Dominic Dedic, he knows that it was a mistake coming out of the chicane that cost him that P2 place. Of course, he has still got a podium. But Smeedel, what a start. Fabio Vettiger, he finishes in P9. Now, Mark Gassner will probably cross the line for P10, but bear in mind, he's got a penalty to come. Then it's Holstein, Peringer, Loro, Mate, Iskro, Ladamada, Vonenberg, Aby, Farland, Hirsch, and Jan Teufen. As you can see there, Devin Iskro going for a last lunge ahead of the timing line. What a superb, generally hugely clean race. I don't think there'll be an awful lot for race control to have to look at. Penalties have been awarded during the course of the race where necessary, but not very many of those. So Michael Smeedel then, and it was 16.7 seconds as he puts the car into the pit lane and heads into the pit lane now. An absolutely clinical drive from this man today in our lounge in Munich. Fantastic job done by Michael Smeedel. Dominic, you showed us just how good you were at recovering in qualifying earlier on, and by goodness, you had to do a bit of a big save, although you were far enough ahead that you were able to save a podium, but P2 could have been, P3 it is.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I had him covered on pace, obviously, and it's just the small mistake, that cost me in the end. I mean, it's annoying, but hey. It's okay, still a podium, and the race itself wasn't too bad. I mean, I knew I would have difficulties holding behind Michel, but I knew eventually I'd have to let him go. He got his elbows out.
Here's Enrique Maranon then. Enrique in Madrid. Talk about take your chances when they're presented to you. That's precisely what you did. Congratulations, Enrique.
Thank you.
How was the race for you? I mean, you know, for ages and ages and ages, it just looked, and I said on air, he hasn't got the legs to get by Dedic. You needed almost a mistake from him, didn't you? Because you were so evenly matched in terms of pace.
Yeah. The race was so great because I just don't want to be first or second. Perfect. I just want to keep focus on the race. So I saw his middle and let him. I let him go through to put first and battle with Derek. And then when he was very far, I tried to fight with Derek, and I just thinking that I was going to be on the third place, but he made that mistake on the last lap, I think, and that's why I am second. But Derek was all the race defending so great, so it's nice that second place.
Michael Smeedel, I have to say, as he joins us now, your racecraft is something that I am in awe of, because you almost have this presence when you're coming up against a driver. They just know that you are so aggressive, and not in a nasty or in an illegal way, but they just know you've got so much pace that actually they're in trouble the moment they can see you in their rear view mirrors. It's almost, I described you as like a viper in the race. I hope you won't be offended by that, but what a brilliant race. And to finish over 16 seconds in the lead, Michael, you had the pace today, friend.
Like you said, I was aggressive, but in a legal way. I'm all the time like that, and it was a great race for me. And as soon as I had a fresh air, I was able to push, but I still had like 2 or 3 tenths in my pocket, so I could push even more.
Is Monza one of your preferred tracks, Michael? I mean, you've done so well at the Nurburgring today. Monza is just, it's an all-out power track, so it is completely different to what you've been through today.
in the end, it doesn't really matter if it's my favorite. It's going to be only about surviving again.
Well, you've survived, and not only survived, you've survived with a virtual laurel wreath around your neck because you're P1. Michael Smeedle, many congratulations to you.
Thank you very much, mate.
So here is the official podium then. Michael Smeedle on the top step. He takes P1. Enrique Maranon then. Good drive to take P2. Dominic Dedic, well, he banks P3. It so could have been P2, but it's P3. Those are the drivers on the podium. P1, P2, P3. We offer and afford our congratulations to all of them. And here is the confirmed classification then. No doubting the winner. What a race for Michael Smeedle. P2 for Enrique Maranon. Dominic Dedic then P3. Picking up a penalty, Fabio Vettiger then P9. As we go to the second page of the classification then. And a penalty for Mark Gassner, who on track was P8. He ends up after the penalty P16. And he wasn't the only one. Javier Loro picking up a penalty as well. So did Jan Teufen, who finished the race P21. And there is Dominic Dedic then. And he's in Zurich. He takes step 3 and is afforded his trophy. Well done, Dominic Dedic. All smiles now and a big thumbs up. Here comes P2 then. And there you can see all smiles as well as Enrique Maranon takes his trophy. And Michael Smeedle then on the top step of the podium in Munich. And he collects his award. And a big handshake and a big smile from Michael Smeedle, P1.
Hi, my name is Ralph Möller. I'm the Chief Fitness Officer of Racing Unleashed. For esports, sim racing, physical and mental fitness is important. 30 to 60 minutes of exercises per day are important for your success. Use your bike instead of your car, or just take a walk. There are no excuses. Running, cycling, swimming, or gym. Just keep it going. So get fit and fast with a Gladiator. Racing Unleashed. See you soon.
Cheers, Ralph Muller then, our Chief Fitness Officer for Racing Unleashed. What a star he is. And what a star all our drivers are in Racing Unleashed as well. We are with the Racer League and we are racing, of course, at Brands Hatch today. The race is about to get underway, but this is what it looked like in qualifying with Lorenzo Hayder and Yannick Vonneberg and Roger Marte, the top 3. Boy, it was close. Mark Gassner, Lars Bumala, Fabio Vettiger, Florian Haase, David Ladamada, Devin Iskro, and Alejandro Sanchez, the returning Alejandro Sanchez, ahead of Sebastian Hirsch, Besnik Murtetzi, Javier Loro, Michael Smeedle will do some overtaking, Enrique Maranon, Jan Teufen, Kevin Abey, Wojciech Polesny, also out of position in my opinion, Loris Mistretta, and Dominic Dedic, who we saw on the podium just a few moments ago in our replay of one of our previous races. Angelo Michel and Christoph Holstein then bringing up the rear of the pack as we will go racing at Brands Hatch, the British roller coaster, which is venue for our 5th round of our championship for Racing Unleashed. Very much looking forward to the drivers getting to grips with that circuit and getting on board and bringing us that 30-minute race. Now, this was Lorenzo Hayder up from the Challenger League into the Racer League and into our knockout qualifying, and he banks pole position. What a star he was. Looked absolutely delighted with taking that P1. He did a great job. Can he convert that into the race win? Well, we're going to find out in around about 40 minutes time or so. Lorenzo Hayder, then he will be going from P1 on the grid. Now, Dominic Dedic, he, as you can see, found the grass, the gravel, the Armco barriers, found the car round the wrong way, was hit by another one, and therefore he's going to have an awful lot of work to do from the back of the pack, Dominic Dedic. And there you can see the pirouette and, unavoidably clattering into another car then. So the knockout qualifying, which I've always said is always entertaining, it's like another race. Well, it was a race of attrition today because Brands Hatch is quite a narrow circuit, undulating through the Kent countryside. And there it was it was terribly exciting, the qualifying. And as if to reinforce that, just watch this. This was P2 and P3. Towards the line. Look at this battle between the two of them. Yannick Vonneberg and Roger Marte then, side by side. That isn't the finish line. That's the safety car line. This is the finish line. They were within a thousandth of being absolutely identical as they crossed that line. Absolutely superb stuff. If memory serves me, it's Yannick that just took P2 and Roger Marte that takes P3. But it was so close. And that was the story, really, of our knockout qualifying today. It was close all the way through, apart from Lorenzo Hayder, who just escaped up the road and did what exactly he needed to do, and that was build that space of tarmac between himself and all of his pursuers as well. As you've seen from the grid, there are a number of drivers that are out of position. And Fabian, when you're out of position from qualifying, it means, of course, you've got to do some overtaking. But overtaking is going to come at a premium on a track which is really quite narrow. And, of course, it is old school without acres of tarmac runoff area. It bites you on the bottom, doesn't it? Because it's gravel or it's grass.
Yeah, but for me, as a racing driver, that's a real racetrack, you know. If you are making mistakes, you need to pay for it. So, yeah, there's no space, basically, for mistakes. And that's, for me, a real racetrack.
Yeah, I like you saying that because I'm with you on that. You know, it's one that rewards you when you do well, and it hurts you when you do badly. So do you, psychologically, Fabian, when you've got a racetrack like this one and you're out of position, do you go into this with perhaps a different mindset with regards to your race strategy? Because how do you plan it?
Yeah, I think it's different to other tracks. You know, you need to be clever in your head. You need to be mental strong and wait for mistakes from your competitor in front.
Thank you, Fabian. It's great to have Fabian Vettel with us throughout our program today. And we are ready to go racing then. Brands Hatch in the UK, the British roller coaster. This is Racing Unleashed, and welcome to the 5th round of our...
This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
Green and go after being held at the line for a while.
Who is going to be king of the late breakers?
Speed up the bremses.
Michael Speedle is throwing absolutely everything at this, including the kitchen sink. Disaster strikes.
Unglaublich.
Wow, qué pelea.
I'm loving this. Look at this. Absolutely brilliant stuff.
This is Racing Unleashed.
And that is race control. Those are the gentlemen are charged with making all the decisions during the race and post-race as well. They're having a busy time of it following qualifying because there are a number of incidents that they needed to look at. They have access to so much data and so many camera angles. They can look at absolutely everything in fine. I mean, literally take it back to frame by frame. They can do that, and you can see that being done as we speak as well. So race control, keep an eye on everything. Here comes our grid then. Christoph Holstein is in Zurich. He's on P22. Angelo Michel is P21. I'm hoping that Christoph Holstein can hear us. Christoph, you're starting right at the back of the pack. Let everyone else lose their head and you'll come through the whole pack. Is that the strategy you have?
Sure. I mean, you always have to be count a little bit on luck, I guess, when you're starting so far back. So, I just hope there's going to be some carnage up ahead, and then I can make my way through. Otherwise, it will be very difficult.
I'm glad you said carnage, Christoph. We wish you the best of luck for the race. Thank you for talking to us, Christoph Holstein. Then and Angelo Michel going from P21 and P22. We continue through our grid now, and Dominic Dedic, he's another driver that's got work to do, and Loris Mistretta, they go from P19 and P20 on our grid. So the 10th row, closed out by Dominik Dedic and Loris Mistretta. Wojciech Polesny, for my money, is another driver that is perhaps out of position, and he's going to be going from P18. And alongside him, he finds Kevin Abey. Wojciech Polesny going from Munich, and Kevin Abey racing in our lounge in Zurich. These fabulous Formula Hybrid 2022 Ex-Evo cars. Jan Teufen goes from P16. Enrique Maranon then in Madrid. He will be going from P15 on the grid. And you can see the drivers in their final stages of preparations then ahead of the race to come at the British roller coaster that is Brands Hatch. So that was our 8th row of the grid. Now we go to the 7th row of the grid. 7th row, P14. Michael Smeedel, my old friend here, what are you going to do from P14?
Well, to be honest, I don't know. I will just do my best and, yeah, just fight, I guess.
Your best is normally pretty good, and we wish you well for the race. Michael Smeedel then, understated. Go forward, friend.
Thank you, Dave.
So Michael Smeedel going from P14. And then Javier Loro is alongside him. He is in our Madrid lounge. He goes from P13. So that is the 7th row of the grid. Going to be fascinating to watch how that row develops during the course of the race. Besnik Murtetsi and Sebastian Hirsch, they are in Calm and Munich. And they go from the 6th row of the grid. It's P11 and P12. P11 for Sebastian Hirsch, P12 for Besnik Murtetsi. We continue to scroll through our grid of cars. It's Alejandro Sanchez going from P10, the returning Alejandro Sanchez, and Devin Iskro with a very good qualifying performance. He goes from P9 on the grid in our racing lounge here in Kemptal. Let's see what those drivers can do. And to the next row of the grid, David Ladamada and Florian Hassa. Then they are P8 and P7. Kemptal and Munich are the lounges where their simulators are situated, and that's where they will be driving. David Ladamada just listening to a bit of hip-hop there ahead of the race. It's one of his calming methods, you know. I don't mean that. Fabio Vettiger is in Zurich, and Lars Baumeister is in Calm. Lars, good afternoon. Brilliant qualifying from you. You're going from P5. Please tell us, what is the strategy, Lars?
Yeah, hello and good afternoon too. I want to try to give my best and hold the position and stay out from any crashes, and hopefully it don't crashes after turn 1.
We wish you the best of luck, Lars, and well done for your qualifying performance then. It's funny, isn't it, that word crash has been used quite a lot by the drivers that we've spoken to on the grid. So once again, congratulations to Lars Baumeister then and Fabio Vettiger. They are on the 3rd row of the grid going from P5 and P6. Let's get to the sharp end of it now then. Mark Gassner in Munich, he's going from P4. And Roger Marte then in Kemptal, who I spoke to off the air just a few moments ago, is going from P3. A really good qualifying performance from Roger Marte here in Kemptal, and he'll be hoping to capitalise on that. And Yannick Vonenberg, well, he is on the front row of the grid. It's P2, but the delight you could see just a few moments ago from Lorenzo Hayder, then up from the Challenger League into the Racer League for this weekend, and he goes from pole position, P1 for Lorenzo Hayder. Will he disappear up the road as he did in qualifying? It's a big thumbs up. Right now, here comes some fast facts about Brands Hatch Circuit then, the British roller coaster. 3.9 kilometres in length, 4 left-hand turns, 5 right-hand turns as they twist and wind around the countryside of Kent. 188 metres from start to turn 1, 32 metres the height difference, and it is one of Britain's best loved circuits. Of course, the full GP configuration. This is Paddock Hill Bend. It's like diving off a cliff when you go down that right-hander from the start-finish straight. Let's move on to another tight turn here. Druids. It's as near to a hairpin on Brands Hatch as you will find. Uphill into it, downhill out of it. And when you finish that downhill out of it, you find yourself here at Graham Hill Bend. Use the runoff area and try and get the trajectory absolutely right for the left-hander which comes up next. Westfield Bend is another challenge for our drivers, something of a double apex bend, and as you can see, you're down and then up once again as the trajectory works. And for Clark Curve, get the setup right. You can use the inside line along the start-finish straight
really
to
happy
give you
with this result. I didn't expect this result, so I'm speechless. Wow, what a race! Because I'm sorry, what a qualifying. Yeah, I'm so happy.
Thank you, Lorenzo Hayder. And now let's take a look at the Rocket Racing Star contest and what a conclusion that was. VIPs littering the place in Bolton. And the competitors
rejoined us here in the NCME. One final corner to go then, and out of it, it is going to be 2 victories here at the Bolton final for Monica Bolton Ramos, as she should be our racing star. Final corner, Deegan Fairclough, and he's done it. It's 2 victories for Deegan Fairclough and 26 points apiece as well. Fastest laps in both, and he cannot believe what has just happened. That is a life-changing moment.
So lots of information to bring you then, and this is what we're looking forward to bringing you the most, of course. It is the start of the race, and as I was saying just before we heard from Lorenzo Hayder, an exit from Clark Curve to the inside can give you the run through Paddock Hill Bend. So all the cars are set on the grid then. We're looking at the Roger Marte car. That's really in our focus. And, of course, Lorenzo Hayder going from pole position. We'll see the lights. We'll throw them to the top of the screen for you. And the drivers all being held there on the grid, ready to get this race underway. 30 minutes, the race duration of this twisty-turny Brands Hatch circuit then. And we are about to go racing round 5 of our championship season for this year. This is Racing Unleashed. And we go beyond the Pinnacle. And the first of 2 dates in the UK in our championship this year. We're here at Brands Hatch. We head off to Silverstone next. And the sense of anticipation and excitement really building as the drivers are preparing themselves in their simulators around all of our lounges. There is the lighting sequence, and it is, of course, race control that control that. 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4, 5. Hold on to your hats. Oh, held for a long time on the lights. Oh, and a disaster for Roger Marte. He jumped the start. There's no question about that. That means Lorenzo Hayder is pushed back to P2. He was trying to anticipate the start was Roger Marte and just got it wrong. So here is Lorenzo Hayder, P2, but pretty sure it'll be P1 because Roger Marte undoubtedly anticipated the start. Here comes the crash that we feared might happen right at the start of the race, but not where we expected it. It's down from Druids into the Graham Hill Bend and then beyond. So Wojciech Polesny then, he's making progress already. And Michael Smeedel is P15. Here's Loris Mistretta. And it is Loris Mistretta that Michael Smeedel will be chasing down. Sebastian Hirsch P10 ahead of Javier Loro. So we get the first lap underway here, and the drivers will be happy to bank the first lap, I would suggest. So Marte on screen then is leading, but as I say, it's almost a slam dunk that he will be picking up a penalty for jumping the start. Sebastian Hirsch then running in P10. Final points paying position then as they do put the first lap in the book. And here is the order then. It is Lorenzo Hayder. That's been righted ahead of Mark Gassner and Fabio Vettiger, Florian Haase. Then it is David Ladamada, Alejandro Sanchez, Devin Iskro. And then it's Bob Mehler and Hirsch and Angelo Michel, then the top 10. And David Ladamada in strife then on the grass on the exit of Graham Hill Bend. And Devin Iskro having got by Alejandro Sanchez. Good move by Devin Iskro. He's moved up to P5 now. And David Ladamada is down to P10. So Michael Smeedel, P14. He's the driver, of course, that will just let them all settle down ahead of him and let all the strife unfold so that he can then concentrate on trying to overtake as many of those drivers as he possibly can. Or more strife there, as you could see, but David Ladamada avoiding that. I think it was Wojciech Polesny and all sorts of strife there, but he managed to hold on to the car and keep it pointing in the right direction and running in that P12 as they round Clark Curve now. And here is Michael Smeedel then. on lap 3 of 27. You can see the cars ahead of him now. Dive to the inside. That will give you the inside line going to Paddock Hill. He chooses to go to the outsiders. Jan Teufel sets the fastest lap, a 1:03.452. Now, Lorenzo Hayder, his strategy right at the front of the pack is to build as much gap as he can over Gassner. And he's done that by already putting a half second between himself and the P2 driver. This is Alejandro Sanchez then, following Devin Iskro, P5 and P6. Let's go on board with Alejandro Sanchez then, hugely successful driver, of course, champion. And he's chasing down Devin Iskro. Alejandro Sanchez driving in our lounge in Madrid, and Devin Iskro driving in our lounge here in Kemptal. Javier Loro just out of the points at the moment, P11. He's chasing David Ladamada in that green car that you can see ahead, these Formula X hybrid Evo 2022 cars. And Javier Loro, as behind, you can see Wojciech Polesny looking very, very racy indeed. So Hayder continuing to build a margin, and Alejandro Sanchez now sets the fastest lap, and that brings him ever closer to Devin Iskro. But it's where you can find a way of making a move here. This is Mikael Smeedel and Loris Mistretta. So where is Mikael going to have a go at Loris Mistretta now then through Graham Hill? That's not going to be the opportunity. Maybe following the left-hander which comes next. Here he is then. Let's follow him around here as he makes his way up the Hawthorne Hill then. But he's just not close enough. Just not close enough here. Bear in mind, Mikael Smeedel leading the championship at the moment. Lorenzo Hayder is leading the race by only 0.3 of a second here, has to be said. And here's Alejandro Sanchez chasing down Devin Iskro. These two, well, they're often very, very close together during the course of the race, and they were certainly close together during qualifying as well. So over the line they go then, putting another lap. The laps are so short here at Brands Hatch that it comes thick and fast. We're already on lap 5 of 27. And here's Mark Gassner then, still within sight of Lorenzo Hayder ahead. But Lorenzo just controlling his pace really nicely and keeping a sufficient margin of tarmac between himself and Mark Gassner. Let's look at what the gap is as we go on board the Lorenzo Hayder car, looking back at Mark Gassner, then Fabio Vettiger and Florian Haase, and oh dear me, Javier Loro right in the middle of that lot as one car gets absolutely T-boned, and I'm sure that's David Ladamada. Enrique Maranon involved as well, and Javier Loro goes for another spin as well. So talk about dance yourself dizzy. Poor Javier Loro has been round and around and around. So does get it pointing back in the right direction again, but that of course has put him way, way back. In fact, all the way to the back of the pack. No such strife, no such trouble for the drivers at the front of the pack. As Lorenzo Hayder is still marginally quicker than Marco Gassner, but Alejandro Sanchez, the first driver, I think, that's put his lap time into the 1:02s. So Alejandro Sanchez, obviously meaning business. He's managed to get by Devin Iskro, and now he's putting those fastest laps in. So presumably he will consider that Devin Iskro was something of a cork in the bottle, and now he's been released from that. Now he can go for it. Here is Alejandro Sanchez. And that means that Alejandro Sanchez now in that P5 position, having disposed of Devin Iskro and chasing down the Haase car ahead now. And all over the gearbox of Florian's car as Alejandro Sanchez tries to find a way through. Podium, surely a possibility here for Alejandro Sanchez if he continues performing the way he is at the moment. However, Haase will do his best to stick his elbows out and prevent him from going through. Here, Alejandro Sanchez then completes another lap. And here is Sebastian Hirsch doing a very creditable job, running in P8. Mikael Smeedel has made it up to P9. And Wojciech Polesny now sets the fastest lap with a 1:02.757. Enrique Maranon we're on board with now, as his simulator bumps and bumbles around, replicating perfectly the grooves and undulating nature of the Brands Hatch circuit, which is where we are racing at today. So using the runoff area on the exit of Graham Hill, Enrique Maranon is really now reeling in. David Ladamada ahead. Oh, just loses a bit of momentum there as the front end of the car got a little less sticky than he would have liked it to be. And that plays into the hands of David Ladamada. Lorenzo Hayder has maintained his gap and increased it a bit over Mark Gassner. It's up to half a second now between P1 and P2. Then it's Fabio Vettiger, and Alejandro Sanchez has got by Hassa and is now P4. I did say just a few moments ago, is a podium a possibility for Alejandro Sanchez? I think so. Here's Sebastian Hirsch climbing up towards Druids now. It's the closest to a hairpin that we have here at Brands Hatch. You run uphill into it and downhill out of it before Graham Hill. And Sebastian Hirsch is running in P8 at the moment. Javier Loro now sets the fastest lap, a 1:02.469. But Javier Loro is languishing down there in P21 following the crash we saw earlier on. Sebastian Hirsch has managed to get by Devin Iskro as well, and so too now has Mikael Smeedel, keeping an eye on the graphics on the left-hand side of the grid. And all of a sudden, Mikael Smeedel is finding the pace that he wants. He's up to P8. Bear in mind, he wants to bank as many points as he can. He wants to bank as much money as he can as well. That's what racing drivers do. And Mikael Smeedel proves that he's really adept at doing that. As now he lines up the car ahead. Clark Curve now. Can he get to the inside? Along the start-finish straight, which would give him the inside line for Paddock Hill. No, he prefers to go to the outside. Is he selling Lars a dummy here? And then on the run up to Druids, he takes a look at the inside. Lars Bormeyer just holds onto it nicely and denies Mikael Smeedel, who has got Devin Iskro right up his trumpet too. So they run out onto the grass, or rather Devin Iskro does, and Alejandro Sanchez, I said, is a podium a possibility. Well, at the moment, it looks absolutely guaranteed because he's running P3 somewhat earlier than I potentially anticipated, because on lap 9, Alejandro Sanchez is in that P3 place. We continue with Lorenzo Hayder leading, but we watch this battle going on with Mikael Smeedel at the moment, trying to find his way past Lars ahead of him, who of course is running in P7. And you cannot afford to take too many laps to make it overtaking move and to make it work. Right, is he going to try a different strategy now? Yes, he looks at the inside line going into Paddock Hill, but he wasn't quite close enough, I don't think. So Smeedel has to stick another lap, or the start of another lap in that P8 position. He would far rather have disposed of the number 7 place, but he hasn't done it. Here comes Enrique Maranon trying to dive bomb up the inside on David Ladamada going into Druids, but it didn't quite pay off. And it's Dominic Dedic that's sitting right behind Enrique Maranon. This is a fight that's going on for P15. It's David Ladamada in P15 at the moment, with Enrique Maranon P16 and Dominic Dedic P17. So here the three-way fight continues. And for the moment, it's as we were. Loris Mistretta is now running in P9 as Mikael Smeedel P7. Sebastian Hirsch is the next in his target sights, and Loris Mistretta P9 dives to the inside of Devin Iskro. Devin really left the door open there, and Loris Mistretta just said, thanks very much, I don't need 2 invitations, I'm coming through, chap. And come through he did. Meantime, just looking at the screen, the graphics on the left-hand side of your screen, you can see that the gap at the front has remained fairly steadfast at half a second or so, as Loris Mistretta does run across the grass, but gets it all gathered up and is back on the tarmac now. So, lap 11 of 27 of a race that's being led by Lorenzo Hayder. And now Mark Gassner, of course, can't attack Lorenzo Hayder because his rearview mirrors are full of Alejandro Sanchez. This is the fight that's going on for P2. Alejandro Sanchez then looking for a way by Marco Gassner, or Mark Gassner I should say, and he finds it. Again, Gassner, like Devin Iskro on the lap before, just left the door open, and now Alejandro Sanchez will be able to sniff the opportunity of a win. Smeedel sets the fastest lap, a 1:02.312. He's in P7. Alejandro Sanchez is in full attack mode. as he tries to get ever closer to Lorenzo Hayder. The gap is coming down 10th by 10th. And there they chase now up Hawthorne Hill. Alejandro Sanchez is P2. Lorenzo Hayder there is P1. Let's stay with this battle. Or maybe not, because we pick up Sebastian Hirsch, who is challenging Florian Haas ahead. This is for P5. Alejandro Sanchez, meantime, is continuing to chase Lorenzo Hayder. So here you can see how the elbows are being stuck out, I should say, to try and make the car even wider than it is. Sebastian Hirsch, Mikael Smeedel now around the outside. Let's split the screen so we can bring you two battles at the same time. On the right-hand side is the battle for the lead of the race. Lorenzo Hayder, P1. Alejandro Sanchez, P2. This is Mikael Smeedel on the left-hand side of your grid down at Graham Hill Bend. Trying to get rid of Sebastian Hirsch, but he's failed to do it. Lorenzo Hayder, it's down to just 4/10 between him and Alejandro Sanchez. He knows that Sanchez is coming. Meantime, Mikael Smeedel has to just take another lap to try and get by Sebastian Hirsch. So Alejandro Sanchez now is reeling in the car of Lorenzo Hayder. This is for the lead of the race. Where can he do it? Well, running down now towards Clark Curve. This could be it. Alejandro Sanchez then, if he can try and get to the inside line of this start-finish straight here. But look at Lorenzo Hayder. He virtually welds the car to the wall. Now Alejandro Sanchez tries to sell a dummy. And Lorenzo Hayder is wise to it. He makes the car wide. Alejandro Sanchez tries to go all the way around the outside at Druids. That's going to be a big ask, but it would give him the inside for the next turn. And wow, brilliant defensive driving from Lorenzo Hayder, but he runs a bit wide. They go side by side. But still, Lorenzo Hayder is not prepared to give up. He gets sideways. That plays into the hands of Alejandro Sanchez and also Mark Gassner. The new leader is Alejandro Sanchez. Lorenzo Hayder is furious with himself because he's lost P1 and also P2. Wow, what a fight that was. Mark Gassner, of course, another big beneficiary of that. And now that Alejandro Sanchez, look, in the space of just a few 100 meters of tarmac, he has built a margin of 1.4 seconds. Extraordinary. We're just over halfway through this race, and Mikael Smeedel, there was a little sigh of frustration you can see, because it is hard to get by at Brands Hatch, although Alejandro Sanchez made it look easy now. Here, Mikael Smeedel surely will be able to pick up another place as Fabio Vettiger goes wide. But he's been fighting so hard to get by Sebastian Hirsch. And now, Smeedel is able to do it, surely. Indeed he does. And in fact, now Mikael Smeedel is up to P5. So Vettiger and Smeedel fighting over that P5 position. But Mikael Smeedel has gone through, and now it will be Florian Haas in his target sights. What have we got? We're on lap 15 of 27. Is a podium prospect likely for Mikael Smeedel? Trust me, if anyone can do it, this man can. He's re-energized. He realizes over the final stages of this race that he could be potentially on the podium. He's got two cars to get by. There's Roger Marte running in P13. He, of course, jumped the start right at the start of the race. Great shame. Enrique Maranon is running in P14, and this is Jan Teufen that we're on board with. Lockups coming thick and fast through Druids. Sanchez leading by a second over Gassner, and then it's Lorenzo Hayder in P3. Jan Teufen is P12 at the moment, chasing down this man, Wojciech Polesny, who we're on board with right now. Wojciech Polesny driving the simulator in our Munich lounge. And whichever lounge you're competing in or spectating in, we say thank you for being part of Racing Unleashed this weekend. And wherever you're watching us at home, we're delighted that you are watching us at home as well. And enjoying the scintillating race action that we are bringing you from Racing Unleashed, the Racer League. And should give a big shout out to some of our broadcasters all around the world, including China and Philippines, with Hoya and TAP in the Philippines. And of course Motor Trend in the USA, as well as Garage TV in Spain. Hello and good afternoon to all of you. So Mikael Smeedel we're back on board with now as he continues his quest. We've got 10 laps left to run, and a podium is potentially in sight here for Mikael Smeedel. Can he do it? Well, the first person he's got to get by is Hassa, who is running in P4. And here's Javier Loro now, making his way through Graham Hill Bend, keeping an eye on the rearview mirrors to see who's behind him as well as focusing on the car ahead of him, which of course is David Ladamada, also racing in our Chemtel, as Javier Loro racing in Madrid and David Ladamada in our Chemtel lounge here. So Sanchez now nearly 2 seconds to the good over Mark Gassner, and then it is Lorenzo Hayder in P3. A really creditable performance from Lorenzo Hayder, stepping up from the Challenger League to the Racer League this weekend. And Javier Loro lining up David Ladamada to try and find a way by, but he's been denied so far. He does continue his quest. Enrique Maranon now sets the fastest lap, a 1:02.163. I wonder if we're going to see a lap in the 1:01s at some point. Only time will tell. So Javier Loro then running in P17. Alejandro Sanchez and Mark Gassner P1 and P2. Lorenzo Hayder P3. Florian Hassa P4. And this is Mikael Smeedel, who is still trying ever so hard to move himself up another further position. Can he do it now through Clark Curve? Clark Curve into the start-finish straight. And this is Javier Loro that we are watching. Sanchez, Gassner, Hayder, 1, 2, 3. Haas, Smeedel and Vettiger, the next three. And Javier Loro down there in P18 with Angelo Michel ahead, and David Ladamada, of course, ahead of Angelo Michel, who got by Javier Loro. So hopefully my technical crew are listening as we commentating, because for the moment we've lost all audio. All I can hear is me, can hear none of the track action at the moment. So Alejandro Sanchez and Mark Gassner P1 and P2. Lorenzo Hayder is P3. And Javier Loro then in P18. Lars Baumeiler, you can see, who is running in P10 at the moment. So we continue to watch this race develop at the moment, as it is at the moment, and reaching the closing stages of this race. So Sanchez now 3 seconds to the good. Smeedel P5 still can't find a way by Hassa. So Sanchez, Gassner, Hayder, the 1, 2, 3. Lars Baumeiler very much involved in the thick of the action then that's going on further down the order. P10 with Wojciech Bolesny, P11, and Jan Teufen, who is currently running down there in P12. So as we continue, Alejandro Sanchez, Mark Gassner, Lorenzo Hayder then, at the risk of repeating myself, the top three. Florian Hassa, P4. Mikael Smeedel, frustrated in P5. But now with Florian Hassa trying to attack Lorenzo Hayder, perhaps that plays into the hands of Mikael Smeedel. Taking a look at the inside, there's a lock-up from Lorenzo Hayder. And all of a sudden, there are 4 cars that are queuing up behind Lorenzo Hayder. We've got 6 laps left to run. As Javier Loro involved in the thick of the action as well, with Kevin Abe and Yannick Vonenberg as well, as we split the screen. My eyes at the moment are drawn to the left-hand side of the screen. because Mikael Smeedel has spent lap after lap after lap frustrated behind the Florian Hasse car and hasn't been able to find a way by, as Alejandro Sanchez increases his margin to 4.5 seconds to the good now. Sanchez from Gassner, from Hayder, the top three, then the rest of the pack continuing to chase. On lap 22 of 27, Javier Loro all the way around the outside there of Kevin Aby. Good move by Javier Loro on the right-hand side of your screen. On the left-hand side of your screen, it's the fight that's going on for P4. Well, getting ever closer to Lorenzo Hayder is Florian Hasse here. And where can Hasse make his move? Mikael Smeedel is being quite clever about this now, having realised that on pace alone he's not been able to get by. So therefore what he's doing is just going to allow Florian to continue fighting, because the more Florian fights, the closer it brings Mikael Smeedel, and he might be able just to pick up the pieces. Again, just dived out of the slipstream of the car ahead and looked at the inside. But I think that's more worrying for Florian Hasse, as David Ladamada sticks his elbows out and prevents Angelo Michel from coming through, who's being chased by Javier Loro. So Smeedel here. Both Smeedel and Hasse are almost within sight of Lorenzo Hayder. Well, they're certainly within sight of Lorenzo Hayder, but they cannot find a way by. Here Smeedel takes a wide outside line. Will he try and duck underneath now? Not close enough. Not close enough to be able to do it. This has been brilliant driving from Hasse, who has just held on to this P4 place despite the enormous threat of Mikael Smeedel behind. He has been unfazed by that, and I have to say Lorenzo Hayder is not bowing to the pressure of those cars behind him either. But now Mikael Smeedel on the run out of that turn does get much closer to Florian Hasse. Is this going to be an overtake for P3? He sticks it up the inside, but Hasse is able to carry much more speed, and the momentum he has denies once again Mikael Smeedel. Well, 10 out of 10 for effort. Absolutely fantastic racing that we're enjoying and watching here. And this is all for the final podium place, P3, because Sanchez is 5.7 seconds up the road of anybody else. And that anybody else is Mark Gassner in P2. So he is Smeedel then. You just get the impression that he's resting himself and resting the car for another go, but we are running out of laps within which he can have a go. We're on lap 24 of 27. And let's go on board with him now. Oh, and you can see just how close Smeedel gets. Now this is where he got a superb run on Hasse last time around. He's done the same this time. He goes to the inside. They're side by side. He needs to be able to carry the momentum. They barge wheels, but this time Mikael Smeedel has done it, and he's put himself up into P4. Now, forgive me, but you will remember that I said a little while ago, is a podium a possibility for Smeedel? Well, with just 2 and a bit laps to go, Smeedel has got to try and get on terms with Lorenzo Hayder. This is going to be a phenomenal fight to the finish, I predict. Absolutely super racing. So enjoying this. So, Lorenzo Hayder, watch out. Smeedel is coming. And Smeedel running in P4. He rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed the overtake on Hasse, and it took him so many laps to eventually do it. Here is Lorenzo Hayder now. So deserves a podium. However, he has got the championship leader right up his trumpet now. And this is what it looks like from being on board Lorenzo Hayder's car as the hard-charging Mikael Smeedel with 2 laps left to run, or 1 lap and the remainder of this one. Oh, what a fight to the finish this is going to be. So Lorenzo Hayder, Mikael Smeedel, P3, P4. Sanchez is 7.5 seconds up the road ahead of Mark Gassner. So P1 and P2 is pretty assured. What is up for grabs is this final podium place. So Lorenzo Hayder then hugs the inside of the start-finish straight to prevent Mikael Smeedel getting a run into Paddock Hill. And now it's the run up to Druids. Now Hayder needs not to make a mistake like a lockup. Or what's the lockup from Mikael Smeedel? He carried a little bit too much speed, and now he's got to try and do it all over again. Oh, you can almost see the frustration on Smeedle's face then, because maybe there was an opportunity there that he threw away. Is he making it difficult upon himself? Well, up towards Hawthorne Bend they go with Lorenzo Hayder, P3. And down Dale once again, and here comes Mikael Smeedle for another shot at this. We are on the final lap, it's now or never. So it's the remainder of this lap, plus one more for Lorenzo Hayder and Mikael Smeedle, because Alejandro Sanchez has crossed the timing line to start the final lap. So now, where is Smeedle going to place that car? Lorenzo Hayder needs not to make any mistakes now, because Smeedle is ready to pounce. But he may have left it just a little bit too late. He'll rue the opportunity that he had just a couple of laps ago. That was perhaps a wasted opportunity. Right, now this, of course, is where he disposed of Florian Hasse. Can he do the same on Lorenzo Hayder? And Hayder, look at this, is protecting the inside line. He makes Smeedle go all the way around the outside, which is the long way around. So good defensive driving from Lorenzo Hayder. And very good attacking driving from Mikael Smeedle, but everything that he's been able to throw at him as Alejandro Sanchez takes the win. It's P1 for Alejandro Sanchez on his return. It's P2 for Mark Gassner. Smeedle now is denied. Surely Lorenzo Hayder has done enough. Here is Mark Gassner, but running to the line now, Lorenzo Hayder. It's almost a photo finish between Hayder and Mikael Smeedle, but I think Hayder just shaded it. Wow, what a race that was. Ho, ho, ho. Can somebody get me a massage table? My goodness me. Alejandro Sanchez on his return. He takes P1. Mark Gassner P2. Lorenzo Hayder P3. There's David Ladamada. Sorry, I should mention the rest of the drivers and where they have finished, but Mark Gassner, he's steadfast in that P2 position. He was never going to be caught, and equally the pace that Alejandro Sanchez had meant that he was never going to catch Alejandro. So Sanchez, Gassner, Hayder, Smeedle, Hasse, Vettiger, Hirsch, Mistretta, then Devin Iskro, and here is Mikael Smeedle. He did everything he possibly could. Of course, these are all the provisional results. Race Control will take a look at the entire race and any incidents that took place that may affect the or impact the result. Here's Alejandro Sanchez then in the pit lane here at Brands Hatch with a bit of porpoising for good measure. Oh, what a phenomenal race. Into our lounges we go then. And Alejandro Sanchez, as we explained earlier on in the program, making a few appearances in Racing Unleashed this year because of other commitments, but what a race he has delivered today. And throughout the pack, there were so many fights and attacks going on that it was a job to know where to focus and where to concentrate. Mikael Smeedle, you can see, is perhaps a little bit frustrated, but he gave it his everything. He's out of his simulator, and wow. He, of course, was racing in our lounge in Munich today, if memory serves. There's Devin Iskro. P8, I think it was, for Devin Iskro. And David Ladamada is still inside the simulator. Every moment of seat time is counting, of course. Goodness me. Need to lie down after that race. One of the best races, in my opinion, in Racing Unleashed and the Racer League. Superb, and Roger Marte is out of his simulator as well. I can see from my studio here in Kemptal, and he, of course, had a great opportunity right at the start of the race, and then just in anticipation of the starting lights, jumped the start. There was no question about that. And that is Dominic Dedic. You can see right centre picture now. And Enrique Maranon alongside as the drivers all discuss everything. And Dominic Dedic just taking a moment of reflection inside the simulator. And why not? you're entitled to do that. So lots of discussions going on at the conclusion of the race, and Dominic is now out of the simulator. Wow, what a race indeed. Our fifth race of our championship season, coming to you from Brands Hatch, and there is Race Control. And it's not always that you see smiles at Race Control, but I think, other than right at the start of the race, there isn't that much for the crew to have a look at. And I think that you can see Wojciech Bolesny there. I'm not sure there's going to be that much for Race Control to decide upon, truthfully. What a super race. So the discussions going on in the lounge. You can see to the very right hand side of your picture there, Wojciech Bolesny clearly disappointed about something, and then the conversations continuing there with the tanned legs of our assembled drivers, or not, as the case may be. Lorenzo Hayder, P3. It was a stunning performance from you, Lorenzo. You were under so much pressure, but you banked the podium. It's the least you deserve, my friend.
Hey, mate, thanks. This result, I'm so speechless. It's amazing. An amazing result. P3 in the Pro League. I can't believe it. The fight with Sanchez was very nice and fair, and the fight with Smiddle on the last corners. Well, these guys, very professional and very fair. Nice racing. Really nice racing.
I agree with you, Lorenzo, and I want to reinforce the fact that you've stepped up from the Challenger League to race in the Racer League this weekend by token. Not only did you put the car on pole position, you're banking a podium as well, and I have to say, I was really, really impressed with your racecraft, not only for your ability to race at pace, but also for your ability to defend, but to defend very fairly.
Thanks.
What a race. Well done, Lorenzo Hayder. We'll be seeing you on the podium. And I'm really sad that he's in Zurich and not here in Kemptal, which is where we've seen Lorenzo in previous races, where I'd be able to shake his hand, because it was a fantastic performance from him. Well done to Lorenzo Hayder, taking P3. And richly deserved. And once again, I remind you that he's stepped up from the Challenger League up to the Racer League. Mark Gassner, P2. He's in Munich. Many, many congratulations to you, Mark. I mean, Sanchez, the pace he had was extraordinary, but you have banked P2. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. I was really trying to be cautious this event. I had some bad luck in the previous round, so I thought just scoring points this round would be good. So starting P4 was a good position. Then I was in P2, stuck behind a slower guy, and when I saw Sanchez behind me, he was much faster. I let him through and hoping that he would maybe create a gap when trying to pass for P1, and it's pretty much exactly what happened. And yeah, afterwards I was just really driving very, very carefully, not pushing very hard. So probably like half a second off my potential pace, but there was no point chasing Sanchez.
That's really interesting to listen to you, Mark, because you are using your head, aren't you? You're driving with your brain, because, as you say, there was no point throwing everything at it. You'd got a comfortable margin ahead of those that were chasing you. So that was really, really good and clever driving, Mark.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, especially this track, it's so easy when you're pushing to make a mistake, put a wheel on the grass or something. So I saw Sanchez doing it once, almost throwing it away. So no point risking anything in P2.
Well, many congratulations. We look forward to seeing you on the second step of the podium. Many congratulations to Mark Gassner in Munich then. He takes P2, and a very, very good job he did as well. Really driving with his head. Well done, Mark Gassner.
Thank you.
So we've heard from our P3, we've heard from our P2. Of course, inevitably we'll be hearing from Alejandro Sanchez in due course as well, as we look at race control there, and all and any instance being looked at. And as I say, I don't think there were that many that will concern them too much. But here then, he returns like the veritable phoenix, on fire today. No question about that. Alejandro Sanchez, good afternoon to you. Alejandro, of course, racing in the simulator in Madrid. We saw today why you are a championship driver, Alejandro. The pace you had was extraordinary. Well done.
Yeah, thank you very much. Had a lot of fun. I didn't think that overtakes will be possible, but you just had to force the guy in front to make a mistake, and that's what we did. So I'm really happy with today.
There were a couple of times, if I may say, Alejandro, where I thought you were absolutely on the edge. I mean, at a track like Brands Hatch, you really do have to push the envelope, and it's a thin line between making the move stick and for it all going horribly wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. If you're on the outside, you need to have a lot of faith on the guy on the inside, and basically you just have to send it really hard and make it stick in order for you to complete the move. But yeah, it's not really like a track. I would say that it's normally used with F1 cars, but I've raced here with other types of car in the past, and it was really hard to overtake as well. It's really narrow.
Well, it was a fantastic victory. Alejandro, from my side, it was wonderful to see you back out on track again because you are a star performer. Many congratulations to you for the win.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me as well to be back finally, and I'll see you in the next one, hopefully in the same spot.
Well, yes. We hope so as well, but of course we wish success to every driver as well. Alejandro Sanchez, very humble and very nice to hear from Alejandro, who has taken the win. I absolutely do not think there is any question that there will be anything looked at from P1, P2 and P3. I'm sure those are the drivers that we will be seeing on our podium. Meantime, we have the construction work continuing just behind the studio, which, forgive the noise, as race control continue to look at the incidents there. Now, we do have a driver representative down there as well, who looks at everything from a driver's eye perspective as well. He, of course, is one of our ambassadors, and it is absolutely fantastic that we have this talented team inside Racing Unleashed, so that we are able to do everything we can to make it as fair as possible. And Carl Wendlinger is very much in that race control driver advisor position as well, so doing a very, very good job, and also doing a brilliant job. And I'm slightly concerned for my job now, because Fabian Vettel has proved not only is he a good racing driver, he's actually a pretty good television presenter as well. So maybe it's time for me to retire and hand the leash over to Fabian Vettel.
No, I don't think so.
Listen, Fabian, what a race. I think if you and I were honest, we thought it was going to be maybe a bit processional, but it was anything like that. Nothing like that.
Yeah, I think, during the race I was sweating. I also just lost the Formula 1 race start because it was so intense to watch this race. It was crazy. We had everything. We had great overtakes, we had clean racing. Of course, we had here and there, especially in the beginning, some mistakes and some crashes, but that's racing, and that's virtual racing, and overall was a clean, really, really great race to watch.
I have to say, Fabian, I want to pick you up on one thing that you said there, and that is the fact that it was clean racing. And I think some of the battles, yes, there were one or two skirmishes, particularly at the start, but actually some of the overtakes, and Alejandro Sanchez said to me just a few moments ago that he was absolutely on a knife edge with some of those overtakes. It was literally at 100-point-something%.
Yeah, the end of the race was crazy. The last 5 laps were absolutely awesome to watch. Those guys all of them are always on the limit, but especially if you are entering, last 5 laps and you are fighting for podium or for P2 or P3, and that's racing, and that's what all of us love.
Indeed we do, and from my side, Fabian, a big thank you to you for everything
Thank you from my side.
Brought to our programme. I've really enjoyed that. Do me a favour, go and thump those people that are humping furniture around in our on-air area. And there you can see Podium being readied then. And Lorenzo Hayder sprints to the P3 spot in our lounge. And there is presented with his trophy. Many congratulations to Lorenzo Hayder. Yes, he always celebrates and celebrates really well. Up from the Challenger League into the Racer League. And he takes a fantastic P3 place. Well done to Lorenzo Hayder. And he racing in the Racer League by dint of token. The Formula X Hybrid 2022 Evo serving him well today in the Racer League. So we've seen our P3 podium. Methinks it's going to be P2 next. Of course, we've spoken to all our drivers that are on the podium, and sure enough, as if by magic, then Mark Gassner receives his trophy, and the applause as well, and well done. And well done to all our staff at all our racing lounges as well, who are just as enthused as we are in terms of everything that goes on track. Brilliant stuff. And right now in Madrid, Alejandro Sanchez stands by to receive yet another race winner's trophy. I have to say, I love talking to Alejandro because he was so humble and says, he did everything he could and he was really glad to be back. We were glad he was back as well. Well done, Alejandro Sanchez, taking P1. So there we have it then. The podium is confirmed. Absolutely no penalties going to be affecting P1, 2 or 3, which is why we can bring you this graphic in absolute confirmation. Alejandro Sanchez P1, Mark Gassner P2, Lorenzo Hayder P3. Brilliant racing to all our drivers, not only the top 3, but to all our drivers, really bringing us first-class race entertainment. If you've not got the Racing Unleashed bug yet, then you really should do, because it was phenomenal, a great race. And there you can see on the left-hand side of your screen how the podium is replayed across our lounges. And let's take a look here at Lorenzo Hayder right at the start of the race, and more importantly, the Roger Marte, as he anticipated the lights and really rather anticipated them too well. Such a shame for Roger Marte. It was one of his best qualifying performances, and unfortunately it all counted as naught towards the race because, of course, it all went horribly wrong, and it's just so easy to do. I've spoken to many racing drivers, whether they're esports drivers or real racing drivers, and the moment that you just expect the lights to go and perhaps they don't, I mean, it is a millisecond. And the judgment can be so right or it can be so wrong. Now, this was Besnik Mertetzi, and this in the opening laps as well. And as you can see, just 3, 4, 5, 6 cars getting involved in that. Let's see it from an on-board perspective. Well, you can see there, just catching the rear wheel of the car sends the car in front into a spin. And then, of course, you've got all the traffic coming at you as well. Just a couple of replays from some of the highlights of the opening stages of the race, or dramas, if you will, from the opening stages of the race, as the drivers continue to have conversations. Now, this was Alejandro Sanchez crossing the line, and cool as cucumber, he takes the win and throws it down into Paddock Hill, as does Mark Gassner with his P2 place. And, of course, Lorenzo Hayder showing all the emotion of banking P3. Brilliant job done by Lorenzo Hayder, and you can see he was loving and living the emotion of it. A great job done. Up next, of course, we move to another circuit in the UK, as there you can see Mark Wendlinger and the rest of the race control team looking at all the incidents there. We move to Silverstone, 30th and 31st of July. That will be race 6 in both our Challenger League and Racer League, and of course an altogether different circuit to the one that Fabian and I have been describing to you today here in the UK. Brands Hatch is very much tight and twisty and quite a short track. Silverstone, altogether different, with lots and lots of tarmac runoff area, and of course a much bigger circuit as well. So a real difference in terms of the tracks in the UK that we are using in Racing Unleashed. And from there we'll head off to another big circuit, the circuit at Spa-Francorchamps, before Barcelona, then the Zurich Airport circuit, which is created just for Racing Unleashed, which is a fantastic circuit. And then Imola, when we will round out our championship for this year. That will be race 10, and that is coming right in the middle of November. Then, of course, we have our Battle for Glory event, may I remind you, which is a non-championship event that will be held at the beginning of December. Well, the 11th of December, to be brutally honest with you. So there we have it. Racing Unleashed, our Racer League drivers performing at Brands Hatch have done a fantastic job. We hope you have enjoyed the racing as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please keep in touch with Racing Unleashed on social media. And until our next round in Silverstone, right at the end of July, thank you so much once again for watching, and bye-bye for now.
This is Racing Unleashed Beyond the Pinnacle.
Green and go after being held out the line for a while.
Who is going to be king of the late breakers?
Speed up the bremses.
Michael Spiegel is throwing absolutely everything at this, including the kitchen sink. Disaster strikes.
Unglaublich.
¡Wow! ¡Qué pelea!
I'm loving this. Look at this. Absolutely brilliant stuff.
This is Racing Unleashed.